40 presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Make sure to use promo code SUMMER and get a $50 free casino play with a minimum $5 deposit. And remember, use your GameSense, GameSense.ca. Stay within your limit. My name is Connor Halley, sitting in for the vacationing Jason Gregor for today and the rest of the week. We've got Declan Kruger running things on the other side of the board and Donovan Paulson with us here, keeping things going on the old YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X streams. If you are checking out those platforms, make sure you give us a like. Hello to everyone tuning in on YouTube and across the old AM dial. We do appreciate it. Today on the show, lots to get to. It's been a busy couple days here in the city. Of course, yesterday, absolutely bananas with the Oilers and the Elks news. We're going to talk to Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation, get his thoughts on the offer sheets that came in yesterday. To, of course, Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. The Oilers have till next Tuesday to make a decision whether they will match or not. Also, Dalton Wasserman will join us from Pro Football Focus. An eventful day in the NFL. We've got some injuries that are happening. Jordan Addison of the Minnesota Vikings was carted off after going up for a ball and coming down and being hurt. We don't know exactly what it is, but how is that going to impact the Minnesota Vikings and what they want to do? Also, their young rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, underwent knee surgery today to fix up a meniscus. He's done for the year. So if you're a Vikings fan, Sam Darnold is QB1 for the foreseeable future, at least this season, unless something goes wrong. We'll also be joined by Wanye Gretz. He's hanging around quite a bit. We've opened the door, and he's burst right through it. He's going to be in at 3 o'clock. Andy Strickland will join us, St. Louis Blues rinkside reporter, also host of the Cam and Strick podcast. We will we'll talk a little bit about the St. Louis Blues and what the game plan was yesterday as they made those offer sheets for the Edmonton Oilers. Ryan Kennedy will be by from the Hockey News. And we'll also talk to Mark Spector and Sal Capaccio from Buffalo. He's a Bills sideline reporter, also host on WGR 550. The text line right now, of course, brought to you by Ewell, the Ewell inbox. Show your power play partners at Ewell. Get your electrical needs at ewell.ca with 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and all across Alberta. Daddy Padre texting in or messaging in on the YouTube. Where is Gregor? Gregor is on vacation. He will be back soon, but for the time being, he left it in our capable hands, or hopefully capable hands. We had some texts coming in here throughout the, in between Low Tide and myself. And it's looking like you guys were talking a little bit of basketball greats towards the end of the show, Declan, because we're seeing some of the best names. I see Clyde the Glide. Was it nicknames, or are you guys talking great players?
No, we were talking. So basically, we were just talking a little bit about the Olympics, about some of the underachievements for Canada. Then the Olympic MVP going to Steph, not LeBron, or going to LeBron, not Steph. Excuse me. Then Tide asked me. He was like, okay, but you've LeBron all too, and I gave a little quick top 5 there, and yeah, we talked a little bit about my top 5 all time, and some good players came up. So that was how that went.
Yeah, always a good debate when you get into like the top 5 of all time, because it's going to be different as people go out through the eras. And
it shouldn't be
what you might say. Well, it shouldn't be, but hard for me to relate to someone who played in the 60s. As great as they might have been, hey, I didn't see it. Hard for me to say for sure. But get those texts coming in here. 1-833-401-1440. Jason from Killam. Wings for supper at 5. That was meant for my wife. Sorry to expose your text that was intended for your wife, but wings at dinner. That's not a bad idea. Hacksaw texting in. Hey, Con, man, did I hear correct that you got Wanye and Mackermess on the show today? I don't know who that is, Hacksaw. I don't know if that was voice to text or whatever it might have been, but send up a follow-up in that one. Of course, the news that's still being talked about in our fair city is the offer sheets to those two Oilers, Dylan Holloway, and, of course, Philip Broberg. It would be a heck of an increase in pay from what we had thought. We talked about it on Monday, our remaining RFAs, and how much it might cost to keep them in blue and orange for the foreseeable future, at least one more year. And we had it at about $900,000 to $1 million. Well, Philip Broberg, the offer from the Blues, over $4 million. And then, of course, for Dylan Holloway, 2.29, give or take. Don't have the number right in front of me. Going to be tough for the Edmonton Oilers to make it up. We had a text that came in earlier. Hey, boys, would you trade CC to the Habs for Engstrom? Donovan Paulson said it quite well. I would trade Cody CC for almost anyone. That was his response to it. The thing is, you're going to need to clear up some cap space. Engstrom, playing in Sweden last year, 22 points, 51 games, formerly a third overall pick. Patrols the blue line, 6 feet, 170, because kind of a more slight guy, a lean guy. I think at this point, if you're trading Cody Ceci, it is strictly to clear up some salary space, right? You need to make moves if you do want to retain Broberg or Dylan Holloway, or even both, with the possibility of Evander Kane going on the LTIR. So I guess I would be making moves whatever I can to create that cap space. I'm not sure exactly what the priority list would be for the Montreal Canadiens and who they would want to keep. But yeah, I'd be making calls to almost every single team. Hey, what's it going to take for you to take on Cody Ceci? I've said it before. Cody Ceci, to me, he's an NHL defenseman. Whether you think he's a second or third pairing guy, that's probably going to vary depending on which team would acquire his services. But he's an NHL defenseman, so you would be helping out a team. The problem is the timing, and everybody else knows exactly what you're trying to do here. You're trying to create space so you can retain these two young players. Everyone knows you're already $300,000 over the salary cap, so you're kind of getting help from another team, even though they'd be benefiting and getting a solid NHL player. So it's going to cost you a little bit more to do that, and that's going to be what happens in the next couple of days here for Stan Bowman and the rest of the Oilers team. Also, at the same time, trying to negotiate that Leon Draisaitl contract that you want to get done, and keeping in mind that you do have to sign Connor McDavid down the road. Evan Bouchard is going to need a contract extension sooner rather than later. You want to keep him in town. There's a lot of moving pieces. We know the Edmonton Oilers hockey team is going to be good. It's going to be a competitive group when it happens, when we get on the ice. But the time in between, I do think, is going to be very interesting. Hacksaw, Wanye Gretz, Wayne Gretz, and Mark Mess. No, Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier were a little tied up. Sent them the text to come on the show today, Hacksaw, but they were unavailable. Daryl says, hey, Connor, if the Oilers match the offer sheets, how do you think each of them would be received in the dressing room? At a time when others are taking less, those two chose to take more and make the goal of winning a Stanley Cup much harder. From Daryl, I think it would be no problem. Struddy said that yesterday on the show without even being asked. He said those two will be welcomed back into the room. We've seen it many times before going through the offer sheets where players accept it and then are taken back. Chalmerson, I believe in Chicago, signed an offer sheet, went back, won a couple cups with the Blackhawks team. You can't blame anyone for at least trying to get that opportunity. If you were looking at Philip Broberg in his case specifically, he requested a trade in December. He wasn't happy with his situation. The Oilers obviously didn't want to make that deal, and it ended up working out for him. He wants to play. I think if you were to say, with truth serum, we'll give you the exact same amount of money, but I'm guaranteeing you, you'll be up on our squad for the full 82-game season plus postseason, he probably wouldn't even need that big of a raise. But he got the opportunity to play with the raise. You'd be crazy not to sign that. Dylan Holloway as well. $2.28 million per year. That's a pay raise that you just can't say no to, plus the opportunity to play. If you're Dylan Holloway, and after the postseason that you had, I would have assumed he'd be feeling pretty good about himself. Playing somewhere in the top 9 where he can contribute. The Edmonton Oilers went out, signed Victor Arvidsson, gave him $4 million a year, then also went out and got Jeff Skinner. I don't know how that left him feeling, thinking this is what I thought was going to be my opportunity to really cement myself as an NHL player. I think the fan base would have thought that he'd earned that based on what he did. But it's a business. You can't fault the Edmonton Oilers for going out there and improving their team, and I can't blame either of these two players for signing that. And by signing it, it doesn't necessarily mean they want out of Edmonton. It just means they want to get that deal done. And this could make it faster. It could take away from the negotiation. Maybe you want to stay in Edmonton, but that offer that they threw your way wasn't good enough. So now you're going to find out how bad do the Edmonton Oilers want you. So, Daryl, it's a challenge. I don't blame these two players for trying to get a little bit more money. The NHL career is not the longest lasting thing. So for me personally, I don't think it's going to affect the room. Let us know, though. 1-833-401-1440 email inbox. What do you think? Is it going to be a little bit of an issue? I don't think so. Struddy didn't think so. It hasn't in the past, but I suppose we'll find out down the road. Bones says Fletch is the greatest Laker player. 99 for the Lakers. 6'5", 6'9" with the afro. I don't know that player. Maybe I'll have to go take a look and try to find out. No name on this one. Maybe shoot us your name here. If the Oilers are trying to get better and younger, why hang on to Derek Ryan and Gagne? Former is well past before date. Well, Derek Ryan's under contract, so you're going to keep him around, but maybe you waive him. So it wouldn't be the worst thing. He's a pretty good role player though. Like he can kill penalties. He's not often going to be making too many mistakes. Like he chipped in with a few clutch goals this year, drew a few penalties, and I think don't know him, don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think at this point of the career, accepting that you're going to be kind of a rotational player, there's going to be nights you're in the press box, and I think he's going to do that fine. Sam Gagner, he wants to play his 18th year. There's no guarantees it will be in Edmonton. We talked about it. I mean, I'd love to see him play for as long as he can. If he wants to keep it going here, then it'd be cool to see. Like, keep it going. But it's another situation where it'd probably be like Derek Ryan. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to move on. I don't think we'll see the fourth stint with the Oilers. And I don't know where Sam Gagner ends up. It might be a team looking for a great guy in the room and a great leader, but it could also be a situation where he could be down in the AHL. And I don't know. He's got the young family. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. We'll find out. Whatever he does next year and whenever he wants to, when he's ready, I think he's going to find a way in hockey's front office, maybe behind the bench, because I do think he's a very good hockey mind. Text from Daryl. So it's all about money and not the Stanley Cup. Gotcha. Well, it is a business. Maybe they believe that going to St. Louis, they can help be part of the turnaround there. It's not a complete rebuild with St. Louis, but given an opportunity, maybe that's something they want to do. If you're Dylan Holloway, your playing time's up in the air, potentially down in Bakersfield, maybe that's not what he wants. I mean, hey, Daryl, I can't get inside the mind of these players. If you have a chance to take a pay raise, you're probably going to want to do it. Hard for me to say. I don't know what drives these guys. I don't know what the reason would be, but if they want to take this contract and maybe speed things up with the Oilers at least, we'll see what happens. But money is certainly does play a role in these things. Scalding Gord says, imagine how Oilers fans will react when Draisaitl and Bouchard don't take ridiculous hometown discounts. Dry will be like 15 and Bouchard likely 10-5. I think Dry's going to be around 13. But we'll wait and see what happens. Jurassic Park, do you think fans boo either player if they leave? Fan-to-fan basis? I'm sure some will. I mean, Gretzky was booed, right? I think some will. But they didn't ask for this. Like, these two players could have been re-signed for how long? Like, this could have been done and not have been an issue. But for the Edmonton Oilers, they didn't get the job done. They didn't do the extensions for these two players. So they might get booed. I'm sure some people will, but other people maybe give them an okay return. Another classic movie Connor hasn't seen. What movie, Dave? Did I miss one? Maybe I missed a reference there, but yeah, it's likely that a movie that I haven't seen if there was a reference. My apologies. Mitchell says, Broberg get a chance to barely make $9 million in his NHL career to now making that in 2 years. Anyone that thinks they trade that for a fictional cup chance is insane. I'm with you, Mitchell. Like, money talks, it's real. You get an opportunity to make that much money in 2 years, you're going to jump at it. And, you outperform that contract or play good, you're going to get a raise. The St. Louis Blues, they won a cup in the last 5 years, right? Like they're a team that has the, I guess, some of the players and the management, like they've been there. So who's to say the Oilers are locked to win a cup, but the Blues aren't? Like, we don't know. Like, crazy things happen. I don't think going to St. Louis would be the craziest thing. EA says let them both walk. It is possible. We had touched about JJ McCarthy going down at practice, having this full scope with a knee. He'll be done for the year for the Minnesota Vikings. That leaves Sam Darnold as their quarterback. Brad says he read that Vikings have reached out to New Orleans regarding Derek Carr. Why? Another okay quarterback that can't win in the playoffs? I would rather just ride with Sam Darnold. At least he's a little more locked in there. And the Saints, I don't know if they'd make that move. Spencer Rattler's the backup there. Don't know who else they have in that room. Not sure if I'd go for that one. Fuzzy says, I think it's a lot of pressure for the players. These are high expectations attached to those offer sheet. Could hinder them mentally. You're right. I mean, it's hard to get into the psyche of an NHL player. I mean, once the game starts, I think that should be the comfort level. That should be where they're happy to be. But you're right. If Philip Broberg is being paid north of $4.5 million, there's a little more expectation that goes along with that one. If it's in Edmonton, he'd be making more than Evan Bouchard, I believe $3.9 million. That's only going to be for 1 year because we know Evan Bouchard is going to get paid in the near future. But yeah, maybe it would affect him. Gord Oil, Cody Ceci is more of an NHL D-man. He's a right shot veteran NHL D-man. Tell me how many teams have 3? There are teams that would love to have him. Gord Oil, I'm with you. I mean, he has his flaws, as do most players in the NHL. Not too many perfect players out there, but I think Cody Ceci being added to a room, especially a younger group that needs a vet, I mean, he'd be fantastic. But let's not fool ourselves. I mean, you can maybe, if you're trying to make the move up with Cody Ceci to different NHL teams, you do have to factor in that, like, they know why you're doing it. It's not, it's clearly to get below the cap to try to make this happen. And that gives the opposing team, the other general manager, an opportunity to just have a little bit more to negotiate with, maybe just a little bit of an advantage. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley sitting in. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Paul says, does it affect the room if you have to dump a popular player like Cody Ceci for free? I think that would have some impact on the team. From Paul, yeah, it might. I mean, it's tough to say for sure, the dynamics. I mean, we know it's a business. Popular players come and go all the time. I think Tyson Barrie was one who was very popular in the room. Granted, he was replaced with Ekholm, who is also very popular and a very good player. But yeah, I mean, I think you do have to look at a little bit of a balance there. I don't know how much would change if Cody Ceci were to move, but it does feel like he is very beloved by his teammates. My goodness, these texts just flying in here. Love it. 1-833-441-1440. Broberg did kind of ask for it. He requested trades in the past. I like the player and we need a D-man, but there are other players, LOL. That comes from Steve in Drumheller. Stu says, do you think that players pushed for lock or offer sheets during the 2004 lockout? It was a thing owners wanted. I imagine it's benefits the players more as they're given a chance to earn more over their career. Yeah, well, when you don't have the arbitration rights, it's a chance to go out there and get more money. But like the thing is, it's not really something that's been utilized by a lot of GMs. Like it's not an every offseason thing we see 4, 5, 6 offer sheets thrown out there, right? The circumstances have to work and the player has to be good enough that you would want them. Like this is kind of a perfect storm for the Edmonton Oilers where you have two players who were on the big screen, the biggest stage during the Stanley Cup Finals. Everyone saw them and they handled themselves admirably. They're both RFAs. They both haven't signed yet. And it's a team that has a cap issue. So for me, if I'm a GM in the NHL, that's Sharks just circling. Like, we can do this. And if it's only going to cost us a second and a third round pick in the future to help us next season, be all over it. But you need to have the cap space to take that on, because I would say that especially the Philip Broberg, right now, that's an overpay. In 1 year from now, you could say, okay, good deal, well worth it. But right now, as we stand, it's an overpay. So, you know, it's kind of got to be the perfect storm of things going for you. And this year, unfortunately, it went against the Edmonton Oilers. The Alterman says, why and in what world are fans mad at the players? The Oilers had almost 7 weeks to offer these guys deals, 1.2 and 1.8 respectively. They didn't even offer either one a single cent. If fans want to be mad at the dog and pony show in the front office. And that's kind of what I thought. Like, why haven't these players been signed yet? We don't know everything that's happened behind the scenes. Maybe there were some offers and the respective sides didn't really want to take it on. We don't know. But if you didn't want this to happen, re-sign them and get them taken care of. Could have been done during the regular season and they let it slide. And now we're here. So it is possible. You keep saying the team could have signed them. The player also needs to want to sign. Yeah, Gus in the hood, you are right. You do need two sides to tango here. For the players being under contract, I mean, if it's me, maybe you want to get that contract done a little bit earlier when the team does have money. They waited. The RFA situation kind of panned out perfectly for them, but that's a fair opinion. Yes, Gus, you would definitely need both sides to agree on the contract. Lots of texts. Keep them coming. 1-833-401 is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson sitting in today. On the show, still to come, and we've got a lot to get to. We're going to hear from Dalton Wasserman from Pro Football Focus, go through the day's events in the NFL. Wanye Gretz will be by at 3 o'clock. Also, Andy Strickland covers the St. Louis Blues, also host or co-host of the Cam and Strick podcast. We'll hear from Ryan Kennedy of the Hockey News, talk a little fantasy hockey as hockey season's going to be here in no time. Mark Spector, 5 o'clock from Rogers Sportsnet. Also, Sal Capaccio, Buffalo Bills sideline reporter out in Buffalo. We'll continue our look around the NFL. But coming up next, we will be joined by Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff. We'll go through more of your texts because a lot of them relate to exactly Tyler Yaremchuk's wheelhouse, exactly what he wants to talk about. So we'll bring those up to him next. You're watching the Jason Gregor Show on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and X, and listening on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
You don't work for GMC, but it's kind of like you do because you pay what we pay. GMC employee pricing is on now on all 2024 GMC Sierra half tons and Hummers. Oh, but at Wolf GMC Buick, it's even better. Get GMC employee pricing on every in-stock 2024 GMC. If it's new and a 2024 and it has that beautiful GMC logo on it, then it's GMC employee priced. Pay what we pay, but only until August 26th. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now and see the over 200 GMCs in stock.
Island Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
The Cheesy Burger Pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the Cheesy Burger Trio or choose between the large Cheesy Burger Pizza for $18.99, Cheesy Burger Papadilla for $9.99, and Bacon Cheesy Burger Papa Bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Cheesy Burger Pizza at Papa John's.
Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Mr. Rooter goes on a water slide.
Welcome to the Sky Screamer. Please keep your arms crossed over your...
Oh, don't worry about old Mr. Rooter. I'm the last person you have to worry about clogging this pipe.
Actually, it's for your safety.
This plumbing-themed amusement park is amazing. To see the world from inside a giant pipe, it feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Mr. Rooter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm ready to be flushed.
For a plumbing good time, slide into the DMs of Mr. Rooter.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, and exhilarating sporting events.
Get ready for global icon Paula Abdul live with special guests Taylor Dane and Tiffany at the Edmonton Expo Centre Arena Friday, October 4th. The Paula Abdul Straight Up to Canada Tour 2024.
Get your tickets now and visit our full calendar of events at edmontonexpocentre.com.
Buying a vehicle at Sherwood Honda comes with 0% intimidation. Seriously, they want you to feel comfortable. So ask anything. There are no dumb questions. How does this car compare to that truck? Ask it. Could the payment be this much instead? Feel free to ask. At Sherwood Honda, you can ask anything without fear of judgment. Like, do you folks have a jingle? Okay, a few dumb questions. And if you have questions about car buying, it sure would make sense to ask Sherwood Honda.
An accident. And it wasn't your fault.
How can I access funds for treatment?
What if I have to change jobs?
How do I even figure out how much my claim is worth?
What if my car is a write-off? Is there funding for help with the housework?
It feels like no one has my back.
Robinson LLP does. Visit RobinsonLLP.com to find your injury lawyer. Robinson LLP, the recovery team.
On the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook pages, also on X, And then for Instagram, you can check it out on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here, sitting in for the vacationing Jason Gregor. The show, as always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Get those texts into the UL inbox, 1-833-401-1440. Right now, let's just keep the Oiler talk going. In the Oil Report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Save $7,500 on a all-new 2024 XC60 Recharge plug-in hybrid models. The deal ends August 31st. Stop in now at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, where we bring in Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff, Tyler Yaremchuk. Tyler, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Connor. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It was kind of funny yesterday. I don't know if you were feeling the same, but kind of thinking, what are we going to talk about today in the old Oilers world? And all of a sudden, these offer sheets fly in, and now we've got content for a little bit longer here in the off season. And I guess we'll just start off with, what were your initial reactions when you saw this news come down? And do you think one stays? Are they both leaving? Are they both staying? How do you think this all plays out in the end?
My initial reaction was shock, and then a little bit of anger, followed by like the content side of me being like, oh, we just got ourselves 2 weeks of solid nerdy Oilers offseason talk. But the Oilers fan in me is like, yeah, this is a major inconvenience to the team. Like, if you want to keep both those guys, it's close to impossible. And if you do keep both of them around, you're basically signing up to overpay each of them for at least the next year. Maybe it ends up being the next 2 years where they don't, fully live up to those contracts or fully be worth those contracts. So it's a big blow to the Oilers and their cap situation and their roster for next season. Who would I keep? Honestly, I still haven't really come to like a firm conclusion on which one of the two I'd keep. It's certainly easier to keep Dylan Holloway in the mix, and the compensation for letting him go to St. Louis is less, and he would be less of an overpay between the two, but he's more replaceable. You went and got Matt Savoy. You could inject a young player into your top nine. He's penciled in as your third line left winger. That's relatively easy to replace in today's NHL. Philip Broberg was penciled into your 2RD spot. He was going to play his offside. He's again, a young defenseman. That is much harder to replace, but that cap hit is much harder to squeeze in, and the compensation for letting him walk is much better. So I am so torn on this whole thing. I honestly don't know which way they're going to go. I think they keep one. I think it'll be Dylan Holloway, but maybe there's a Cody Ceci trade to be made, and you can find a way to squeeze in both, and you just bite the bullet and say, okay, we're overpaying them, but they're a part of our future.
Now, let's say they come to an agreement where the decision's been made. We're going to keep both of them. We got to find a way to do it. Obviously, there is the way to look at it. Evander Kane on the LTIR, it would have to be the entirety of the season, if you're going to go down that road, because then at some point, you are going to have to pay Kane. He'll be back on the roster if he's not going to miss the entire season. So, but let's just say you have that as an option as well. How else do you think they could find a way to clear up that space and try to keep them both? I mean, you already mentioned trading Cody Ceci. Is there anyone else you'd consider?
I don't know if I can. So there's a part of me that says I wouldn't trade Brett Kulak to make this happen, because I think Brett Kulak is a better defenseman next season, and this Oilers team needs to focus on next season. And yes, there's a chance Broberg pops and he outperforms Kulak next year. I get that. But again, we've seen that for a 10-game sample size in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is far from a guarantee that Broberg, over the course of 82 games, gives you better results and better play than a Brett Kulak. So there's a part of me that says you'd be stupid to trade Kulak, just dump Ceci for whatever you end up being able to dump him for, and then, again, go into the offseason or go into the season with Broberg, overpaid, granted, but still in your organization. But what if there's a team out there who'd give you a second-round pick for a guy like Brett Kulak? Well, then maybe if you trade Brett Kulak for that second-round pick and then you still dump Cody Ceci, can you maybe actually all of a sudden use those 2 picks to go get something? Or does getting a second-round pick make it easier to stomach trading a first-round pick for an upgrade? So I wouldn't automatically shut down the idea of trading a Brett Kulak. I would just much prefer if they went down the path of trading a Cody Ceci.
Tyler Yaremchuk joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Now, with that being said, do you think the opposing GMs, I mean, it's 2024. They know the Oilers salary cap situation. They know the 2 players being offer sheeted. Do you think other GMs in this situation, when you're trying to make a trade, are like, yeah, we'll do that, but you're throwing in another 5th or 6th round pick. Just try to take advantage of a team trying to desperately get under the cap.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know Friedman has been on the record today saying that the Oilers could have moved Cody Ceci if they wanted to. He doesn't know if they still want to go down that path, but I would imagine if there were one or two GMs who earlier in the summer were saying, yeah, we'll give you a 4th round pick for Cody Ceci, and the Oilers said, no, we want to keep our defensive depth, that conversation might now turn into, well, no, we want a 4th round pick to take Cody Ceci from you, or we want to move up 30 spots in the draft and do a pick swap if we're going to take Cody Ceci off your hands. GMs will always throw you an anvil, not a life raft in times like this. No one's just going to try help out the Stanley Cup contender, Stanley Cup favorite Edmonton Oilers because they feel bad for Stan Bowman, right? So I don't think trading Cody Ceci will be as easy as it was 6 to 8 weeks ago, but I do think it'll still be possible. If you have to attach your own 4th round pick, I would do it. If it goes any higher than that, if they want Ottawa's 4th or a 3rd or a 2nd, then I probably don't end up going down that path. But trading Cody Ceci, maybe you get lucky and there's a team out there who says, we'll give you a pick for him. Then if you can get a pick for Ceci, it's a no-brainer to keep him, match, and then also, like you said, Evander Kane's got to miss the whole year. Like, that feels like a foregone conclusion now. If they end up matching both, it's a sign that Kane's done until the playoffs.
No, let's just go with it. Let's say Philip Broberg. We're going down all the side streets here, looking at all the situations. Philip Broberg walks. You got Matthias Ekholm, Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, Kulak, Ceci. Who would be your 6th defenseman?
I think it's Troy Stetcher. I think, he got a few games at least in the system last year. I didn't hate Stetcher and Darnell Nurse as a pairing either. And Cody Ceci's results are better than Cody Ceci's results are better with Brett Kulak than they are with Darnell Nurse. So it's like, okay, you can have that Ceci Kulak pairing, kind of take whatever minutes you need him to. Ekholm and Bouchard are clearly your top pairing. And then, I don't think you'll ever write it on a depth chart, but Darnell Nurse and Troy Stetcher are probably in a weird way your 3rd pairing who are getting some pretty sheltered minutes. But if they give you good results in that role, you forget about the cap hits and you just do it. So I think it would be Troy Stetcher as my 6 and not Josh Brown, just because, again, I think Stetcher fits better with Nurse than Brown, who is kind of like a Vinny Desharnais would. So, yeah, I think that Stetcher would have the spot written in pencil, not in pen.
Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation, Daily Faceoff, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in for Gregor. Obviously, the other thing that's kind of, I guess, bugging Oilers fans at this point is the Leon Draisaitl contract extension. I think that might be on the back burner till next Tuesday, or at least till they decide officially on what they're going to do with these 2 offer sheets. But when do you think this Leon Draisaitl deal gets done, assuming it's going to get done before the start of the season?
Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks, and I know Draisaitl's been out and about doing a lot of traveling and things like that after the McDavid wedding. There's a part of me that's like, okay, if both sides trust each other, they clearly do, then what's the rush? You're going to want Draisaitl to come back and do the big press conference. They just did a big press conference in Toronto today with Austin Matthews and all the Leafs back in town. And even that, I was surprised. I was like, why wouldn't they just wait until September to do this when those guys are back in town anyways? Like, I have a feeling it's whenever Leon Draisaitl comes back to Edmonton is when they're going to do this deal. So is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? I don't know. Also, if you're the Edmonton Oilers and, you're going to let Philip Broberg walk, you're going to let both these guys walk, you're not going to match either. I was thinking for a while that the Draisaitl extension would be like 2 or 3 days after the Stan Bowman thing as a way to just slide in some good PR to the whole story. Maybe this is where they play the good PR move, right? Okay, the offer sheet thing, it's blown up in their face, the fiasco, whatever. Oh, 2 days later, 8 years by 13.3 for Leon Draisaitl. Look, it's a bargain. It's cheap. Like, Oilers fans rejoice. So maybe they'll use it as a way to get some good PR next week, or I think more likely they wait until September.
We had a text come in from Ron in Mexico. Says, guys, would you approve this scenario? Let Broberg walk, take the 2nd round pick. You sign Justin Schultz and Tyson Barrie to 1-year contracts, $2.5 million apiece. Trade Ceci for whatever pick you could get, then sign Holloway to the offer sheet. Deal. Boom. Problem solved. Signed, Ron, Mexico. What do you think about that, Tyler?
Barrie and Schultz don't have contracts yet. No one wanted them in rounds 1, 2, or 3 of free agency, you could call it, by the point we're at here. If you have to pay each of them $2.5 million, that is a gross overpay. Also, I don't hate the idea of bringing back Justin Schultz as much as I thought I would. I looked into some of the numbers. I actually think maybe it's not a bad idea. I don't even hate the idea of Tyson Barrie either. It was a handful of years ago, but like, him and Darnell Nurse brought this team to the Western Conference Final as a D pairing. Like, wouldn't be the end of the world if it was those two together, right? So I don't hate the idea of bringing back one of them, but I don't think I like the idea of a right side that is Bouchard, Schultz, and Barrie. That seems like a chaos for 60 consecutive minutes and hoping the lefties can just hold everything down. So if they don't match Broberg, I would not be against, bringing in a Justin Schultz. 1 year, $1.2 million, right? Like something dirt cheap like that. And he's going to get you to the deadline. And then come deadline time, you're either saying, okay, Justin Schultz, thank you for the 6 months. We're putting you in a deal with a first round pick to go get whoever it ends up being. Or you're saying, wow, this Justin Schultz thing is working out. Him and Darnell Nurse play great together, or him and Brett Kulak play great together. You then trade CeCe in the first round pick and you go bring in the big replacement. Like, no matter how this plays out, even if Philip Broberg is in the picture, they need to go get a solid right-handed defenseman ahead of the deadline. It's just a matter of how high they're going to have to swing, or how far they're going to have to swing, how hard they're going to have to swing, whatever I'm trying to say.
Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff joining us here on the Gregor Show now. Tyler, but I'll take people behind the scenes. I think one of our first interactions was down the dial. You were being trained on the board by Hernan Salas for another station here in the city. And I walked in and I think I ripped on the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if you know this. I then found out that you were a Buffalo Bills fan. Since then, your team has had a lot more success than my Chargers. We have Sal Capaccio joining us on the show later today. So one question for the Buffalo Bills fans out there, like what is your biggest storyline or concern with the team this season?
So it's a little bit two-pronged. Like, there is a part of me that looks at the wide receiver situation without Stephon Diggs and is like, oh boy, you're putting a lot of pressure on a rookie, Keon Coleman, to come in and be the guy. And then after that, it's like, I believe in Khalil Shakir, but how much do I believe in Khalil Shakir? I think MVS might be a decent story, but even if he outperforms expectations, what's the real upside there? Dalton Kincaid, I think, can be a bigger part of the pass game, and Dawson Knox can handle some of the more grittier tight end assignments. Like, there's a part of me that's worried about the way the wide receiver room is going to play out. But then there's another part of me that says in the last 6 weeks of last season, Stephon Diggs wasn't that productive. The offense was incredibly productive. So they're going to be okay without him. And again, if you have Josh Allen, it's almost like the Oilers with Connor McDavid. If you have a guy that good, your offense is going to find a way to get theirs, right? On the defensive side of things, there's a part of me that goes, well, you have Sean McDermott. He is a very good defensive coach. You have some key pieces kind of slapped all over that defense. You lost a couple of big names, but with McDermott there, he should be able to massage things, and hopefully some young players step up. So I have like small general concerns all over the place, but I think a lot of the people who are, reporting their demise, and like last year, everyone predicted the Dolphins would win that division. I mean, everyone was predicting the Jets to win the division before Rodgers went down. And I know it came down to the end. Bills had to win out to overtake Miami, but they still won the division. Like, anyone acting like this isn't the Bills division, I think, is doing it incredibly prematurely. Both the Dolphins and Jets have massive, massive question marks. And the Bills have proven, even when they get off to a bad start, even if things don't go their way, and I know this is long-winded, they can find a way to come through because of the McDermott and Allen combination. So I'm not worried about next season all too much in anything. I don't think they're going to be 12-4, but I think they can be 11-5 or 10-6.
I would not disagree with you. I mean, it's going to be fun. Just from an outsider's perspective, I want the Jets to stay healthy. Want to see what they can do. The Finns are going to be good, but yeah, until you lose the division, it's still yours. And the Bills, I think, have a good opportunity to do it once again. Tyler, thanks a lot for doing this today.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
There you go. Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff, host of Oilers Nation every day, joins us here on the Gregor Show every Wednesday at 2:20. Checking in on the old YouTube chat right now. Smitty the Welder says, Bouchard, Barry Schultz is an absolutely brutal right side. Daddy Padre says, Broberg and Parayko going to be unreal together. We've got Penner's Pancakes saying, imagine post games here analyzing $4.6 million Broberg for the whole season. Yikes. Hey, man, that's what you get in oil country. We are going to analyze everything. More text coming in here. Montana to Rice says, Bills didn't even use Diggs down this stretch. Who cares? They will be better. Triple C in a truck. Wow. Josh Allen is Connor McDavid. Creds pulled. Josh Allen, I think he meant in a sense of when you got him, you're in the fight. Josh Allen keeps you in the fight. And I wouldn't disagree with that one. I think Josh Allen, heck of a player, makes those around him better. We'll see what he can do with this receiving core. I think the tight end room in Buffalo is really good. Dalton Kincaid, big hopes for him. But hey, you got to wait to see what happens on the field. Pillman says, whoop, whoop, home time. Lucky, 2:40 and you're done for the day? We still got like hours to go here. Hopefully you guys will stick around. Appreciate you tuning into the Jason Gregor Show here today. Coming up next, we are going to talk a little more NFL and in depth, as we will be joined by Dalton Wasserman, covers the NFL with Pro Football Focus. Later on in the show, Sal Capaccio, the Bills sideline reporter, will join us, and a whole lot more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. You can watch it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. I'm Connor Halley. We'll talk to you guys right after a minute. It's the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers, or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Toronto Blue Jays are on Sports 1440. Every weekend, catch all the action with play-by-play announcer Ben Schulman. The Blue Jays, this Saturday and Sunday on Sports 1440. Edmonton's home for all things sports.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
If you've ever restored a classic car or seen one, you smile because you know what it took to get that beauty looking pristine. The same is true for men who restore their hair. Nothing but smiles for miles. Patients from all over Canada travel to see me, Dr. Vance Elliott, to have their hair loss treated and remedied. I've been helping people for 28 years. My practice is outfitted with the most innovative and latest hair transplant techniques and technology. And I do it myself. Contact us at drvanceelliott.com.
Summer starts with the service department at Vision RV. Hi, Larry Ricci here. Before you set out for another season of camping, traveling, and exploring, be sure to book your RV in for servicing. Maybe it's a peace of mind inspection, or does your RV need some TLC? At Vision, we have 10 state-of-the-art service bays, a drive-through appointment bay, and a fully stocked parts department, plus a cozy customer lounge while you wait. Summer service, Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
With you here on this fine Wednesday afternoon, a little bit smoky. You know what? Today we actually in the mall had the volunteer firefighters that had come up here from Africa to help out in Jasper. They were all in the mall today. So shout out to those guys for coming in here and lending their services. Pretty cool to see. They all had matching shirts. A lot of people sacrificing their time and, coming up here to try to help out. So very cool to see that in West Edmonton. Well, earlier on today, as we were coming to you live from the eWell studio, some news coming down here. Ryan Getzlaff is going to be joining the NHL ranks. He'll be serving as part of the NHL Department of Player Safety. Maybe we'll get some consistency there because as we all joke about during the season, you never really know what Mr. Peros is going to hand out. We'll see if there's any more consistency going forward as Ryan Getzlaff, after a fantastic career with the Anaheim Ducks, now joining the NHL's Department of Player Safety. And a busy day in the NFL. We want to talk about safety. Jordan Addison, potentially injured. We learned that J.J. McCarthy going to miss the entirety of the regular season with a knee injury. Yeah, lots going on. I guess we're kind of right now just talking about Minnesota, but you go around the league. Jawan Taylor for the Kansas City Chiefs was carted off today, offensive lineman. They're not worried about it. We'll talk about that and more with our next guest. It is the big guest of the day, brought to you by the Female Super League, otherwise known as the FSL, designed to elevate female youth hockey. The FSL will provide a platform for U12 and U14 players to develop and improve their skill. You can learn more at femalesuperleague.com. We bring in Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus. Dalton, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Today's actually my 30th birthday, and there's nothing better to be doing than talking ball.
Well, happy birthday. Hopefully we won't keep you too long here, and then you can go have some celebration, the festivities as you celebrate. That's awesome. Well, let's start off with the Minnesota Vikings. The Jordan Addison news, not ideal, obviously, especially when you factor in that J.J. McCarthy will miss the remainder of this season. I want to ask you about Sam Darnold, and what do you think he can provide this season for the Minnesota Vikings in a very tough and competitive division?
It's tough to tell. I mean, when you talk about especially a division like you just mentioned with Jared Goff and Jordan Love and now Caleb Williams, I mean, we haven't seen Darnold in really extended action in a while since he was with the Jets. Now, I think the one advantage is Kevin O'Connell is an elite play caller. I think you saw the other day when McCarthy was playing well that Kevin O'Connell's play calling was a big part of that. And it's a system very similar to what Darnold had been working in San Francisco. So, look, he does have arm talent. He had ball security issues with the Jets that if he can clean up the ball security, you've got something you can work with. He's a good athlete. He's got a good arm. He's got maybe the best receiver in football in Justin Jefferson. But I think the biggest asset for him right now is just going to be for him to lean into Kevin O'Connell's play calling and the system, because it's a very similar one to what he ran in San Francisco.
When you look at that division as a whole, I mean, I think the Detroit Lions are probably, the top of the pile right now after what they did last season, very close to a Super Bowl appearance. Now, you would think only getting stronger, but the Chicago Bears had a great offseason, bringing in Keenan Allen, drafting Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift. You've got the Green Bay Packers, who we talked about it earlier on in another show today. That offense, it might not have the household names, but they are a really good group of offense. How do you think the NFC North plays out this season?
I still lean in on the Lions. I think the Lions overall are the best team that I have the least questions about. Maybe they could use one more weapon, and another injury that can get brought up is the Jahmyr Gibbs one. Hopefully that's not too serious. But when you look at a team with Jared Goff is a really good quarterback, especially when protected. They're very well coached. They've got the best offensive line in football, and they went out and attacked their one big weakness from last season, and that's their secondary. They overhauled their cornerback room. Carlton Davis, drafting guys like Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. If the Lions had a decent or possibly even a good secondary last year, they would have went to the Super Bowl, and they very well could have won it. That was the big weakness, and I love that they addressed that a lot this offseason.
Dalton, for those watching on YouTube, you'll see I'm wearing a Chargers hat. I don't try to hide it. I'm a huge Chargers fan. And I saw the news today that Jim Harbaugh had spoken with Colin Kaepernick about a potential coaching job just a day after we had heard that Kaepernick was, not ruling out playing in the NFL. What do you think happens here? I mean, does Colin Kaepernick have what it takes, you think, to coach in the NFL? Because Harbaugh's done it before. He's got Mike Iupati. He's got Nick Hardwick. Navarro Bowman's helping out with the linebackers. It looks like he does try to get his former players involved in coaching and give them, an opportunity to keep that football career going.
Look, I think it makes a lot of sense. And this so often, high school, college, NFL ranks, it doesn't matter, where a lot of times the coaching staff, it just comes down to connections, right? And the big thing I think somebody like a Colin Kaepernick could bring is experience with both Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, right, in that offense. Now, obviously, does Kaepernick have a different skill set than Justin Herbert has? Now, yeah, but any help you can get with the intricacies of a new offense, That's big time, right? I mean, you talk about pass concepts and offensive line things and the way they do pass protection and all that stuff. Any more experience that can help Justin Herbert, because we know Herbert's talented enough to do just about anything, but to make that transition smoother, not only for Herbert, but for the entire offense. You got a lot of young players, talk about Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston there. I think his experience could only help them if he gets added in there.
Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in for you on this Wednesday afternoon. Now, a situation that's kind of unfolding the last couple of weeks here, it seems like. Brandon Ayuk and the San Francisco 49ers, it looks like they have a contract in place, but also as a backup plan, there is a deal to send him to the Pittsburgh Steelers where he would get that contract extension. Where do you think he's playing football next season?
Wow, that's a hard one because it's so hard for anyone to tell right now, right? I honestly think unless the Niners really pony up with the money, I think he very well could be playing in Pittsburgh. The trade seems to have been agreed upon, and they're just waiting on contract details. And, who knows, too, how much Ayuk is maybe holding out to see if the Niners are going to pony up with that money, right? Because you would think he's got a better chance to win a Super Bowl with the Niners than with the Steelers. But to me, the Niners are on very tenuous ground here. It confuses me a little bit why they're not paying him, because they certainly don't get better with him off the team. And I think it would be a very big loss, honestly. I know Deebo Samuel is kind of that do-it-all weapon, but as a pure classic wide receiver, you can make an easy argument that Ayuk's the best receiver on their team. It's a fascinating situation and one that needs to get resolved really, really soon because we're only, 3 weeks away from the season?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be here in no time. Dalton, going back to week 1 of the preseason, was there anyone who stood out to you as, I guess, maybe someone we should keep an eye on going into week 2 of the preseason?
I mean, the quarterbacks are the obvious answer. Obviously, McCarthy looked really, really good for Minnesota. Now the injury kind of kills that. I thought Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels both looked excellent in their appearances. And if we're getting away from quarterbacks a bit, I really like, I'll take it down to Tampa Bay. I really liked their draft class as a whole. And their new center, Graham Barton, who moved over from tackle while he was playing at Duke, he had a spectacular first appearance. I'll tell you what, if the Bucs can turn around the interior offensive line around Barton and a couple other guys they got inside there, young guys, that could be an even more fun offense than it was last year.
Earlier on in the show, we were joined by one of our regulars, Tyler Yaremchuk. He works at Oilers Nation, covers the Oilers, but is a huge Buffalo Bills fan. Later today, we'll be joined by Sal Capaccio, the team's sideline reporter. It got me just thinking about that division because you got the Bills who won it last year, the New York Jets. If they can stay healthy, should be a heck of a team. I was seeing what that defense was able to do last year. If you have a healthy Aaron Rodgers and Breece Hall and Mike Williams on top of Garrett Wilson, pretty good team there. The Miami Dolphins added on the defensive side of the ball, and I mean that offense at times was unstoppable. So when you look at that division, who do you think comes out on top?
I think, and maybe I'm an optimist here for them, and I kind of defend the quarterback situation and stuff, but I do think if the Jets are reasonably healthy, that they're the most talented team and they could take it this time. I mean, there's all reports out of joint practices last week that Garrett Wilson's just a freak of nature, right? You've got star talent at a lot of places on their team. And I think it's being understated. I know the quarterback thing and Zach Wilson got a lot of the blame, but for us, they had the third worst offensive line in football last year. It was just, they just weren't even functional, to be honest, for stretches last year. To go from what they had last year to having guys like Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses and hopefully a healthy Elijah Vera Tucker, he's been hurt the last 2 years. But if they go from the third worst offensive line to even a top 15 unit with Aaron Rodgers then in there healthy, they're a really dangerous team. If they stay healthy and if that offensive line gels quick enough, I actually think the Jets could very well win that division.
And just a couple more questions for you. I want to ask you about a few sophomore quarterbacks because it was, almost worlds apart when it comes to the first and second overall pick last year. Bryce Young goes to the Panthers. It wasn't a good situation. We can't sugarcoat that. Like, it was just an ugly, ugly performance from that franchise for the year. And then you've got CJ Stroud in Houston. They make the playoffs. He's got a bunch of legit receiving options going forward here. Just want to get your thoughts on both of those players heading into year 2.
Yeah, starting with Young, look, I think there's going to be real progress made this year. He wasn't the number one pick for nothing, and you mentioned it. Carolina's situation was far, far less than ideal, that's for sure. But I love the Dave Canales hire. I loved hearing him talk earlier in the offseason at the Combine especially. He did a great job in Tampa Bay calling plays for a team that was not expected to win their division last season. And, keeping Ejiro Evero around as their defensive coordinator allows Canales to focus on the offense. And what he did, added on the offensive line, added weaponry. I think the Panthers are going to be better. I think Bryce Young is going to be better this year. I don't think playoff better quite yet. I got some questions on other parts of the team, the front seven especially. But I think there's going to be real progress. And Stroud, I mean, look, I think I'm in the boat. We got to expect Houston to win that division and contend for an AFC title this year, right? If he's as good as he was last year, or even better with the weapons they have, how could you not expect it? I mean, they've got an up-and-coming defense, guys like Derek Stingley and Will Anderson, but Stroud's the centerpiece of it all. I mean, there's moments where you look at him and you're like, man, there's like some Peyton Manning type stuff in that. Like he has all the weapons, he has all the tools, he's got everything from the neck up that you need to win. And I do like that they got the experience against, okay, they went into Baltimore in the playoffs last year and they lost to a team that was just better than them. Go fill in the holes, take another swing at it, and they're going to be in the AFC mix.
Just sticking with the AFC South quickly, with the Colts, Anthony Richardson, if he can stay healthy, what do you see from them?
I'm curious because I'll be honest, I haven't always been the biggest Richardson fan, even back when he was at Florida, but Shane Steichen is going to figure out what to do with him, right? He's figured it out with Jalen Hurts. He's figured it out with Justin Herbert. He's figured it out with Gardner Minshew. Even last year was a miracle. They won 9 games last year with as little as they were working with. Richardson obviously has all the talent in the world. I expect them to be able to run the football. That's for sure with him and Jonathan Taylor. The accuracy in obvious passing situations will be the big thing for Richardson. But as far as the base of Shane Steichen's offense, he should be a dangerous player considering his athleticism and everything he can do.
Oh, man, I am fired up just listening to hear you talk about these teams in the NFL. Dalton, thanks so much for hopping on the show today, and hopefully we can get you back on again before the season gets going.
Absolutely. Anytime. Appreciate you having me on.
There you go. Dalton Wasserman on his 30th birthday joining us here on the show. You can catch him out or check him out at Pro Football Focus. A couple texts coming in. Montana to Rice saying Ayuk is back at practice wearing Niners gear, by the way. So, hey, maybe that's going to happen. If I was Brandon Ayuk, I'm not leaving San Francisco. Playing one of the best teams in that conference. You got a great chance to go back to the Super Bowl in Pittsburgh. Hey, I love Mike Tomlin. He's going to have them above 500. And in week 15, they'll be in the hunt category graphic when we're looking at the playoff race. But that division's tough. I think San Francisco is the way to go, and you can't beat that California weather. So we will see. Ayuk back at practice wearing Niners gear. Dalton Wasserman was our big guest of the day. Great to have him on, talk a little bit of sports. Brought to you by the Female Super League. Check it out, femalesuperleague.com. We'll take a break. Lots to get to still on the show. We got Andy Strickland from the Cam and Strick podcast, the St. Louis Blues Rinkside Reporter, joining us at 3:20. At 4:20, Ryan Kennedy will be by from the Hockey News. At 5 o'clock, we got Spec. We got Sal Capaccio, Buffalo Bills Sideline Reporter, 5 questions. And coming up next, you asked for it. More Wanye Gretz, as he will join us co-hosting for the last 3 hours of this show. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. We are going to get to a Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by eWell, supplying the City of Champions and all of Alberta with great electrical gear since 1976. Order yours now at ewel.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the majors. One final from earlier today was the Royals over the Twins 4-1. 2 games in action right now. Rockies trailing the Diamondbacks 4-0 in the bottom of the second, and the Pirates tied with the Padres 0-0 in the middle of the first. Later on today, we'll see the Rangers and Red Sox, Nationals and Orioles, Cubs and Guardians, Marlins and Phillies, Mariners and Tigers, Cardinals and Reds, and of course, the Toronto Blue Jays in action against the Los Angeles Angels out in LA, 7:38 p.m. First pitch for that one. Jose Barrios on the mound for the Jays. The Toronto Maple Leafs have officially named Austin Matthews the 26th captain in franchise history. Matthews taking over the role from John Tavares, who did wear the C for 5 seasons and will wear the A next season, according to general manager Brad Treliving. The BC Lions have released American quarterbacks Jake Dolegala and Brennan Armstrong from the roster in the wake of Nathan Rourke's signing yesterday. Rourke set to become the highest paid CFL player in the league come 2025 and 2026. NFL news, as the Minnesota Vikings will be without J.J. McCarthy for the entire season due to surgery from a meniscus tear. Jordan Addison also leaving the field during practice today for the Vikings. Other pieces of news around the NFL. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford did leave practice with a hamstring injury. Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell says Jahmyr Gibbs should be good to go for their season opener, also with a hamstring injury, and CeeDee Lamb expected to play in the Cowboys season opener amidst contract issues. In hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation and Andy Strickland of the Cam and Strick podcast. He also acts as a St. Louis Blues ringside reporter. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby your Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive, 780-452-5001.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car, and that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge, and I hope you, yes you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
Song. It's so good. Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Use code words SUMMER and get a free $50 casino play with a minimum $5 deposit. And on Wednesday, 6:49. Hey, that's today. Check it out. Use your GameSense. GameSense.ca. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here. Coming to you live from the eWell studio, where the real power play is to shop eWell for all your electrical needs online 24/7. eWell.ca is your partner in power. And we're leveling up here. We got Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation back once again in the eWell studio.
I know I've been here a lot, Connor, because I dreamt about doing this show last night, legit during the night, as one does when one dreams.
Like what kind of dream?
Well, I keep a pad of paper beside my bed to write down what I'm dreaming about and like notes from sleeping self to waking Wanye. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever do that.
Do you actually do that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's funny what you dream about.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I was dreaming about, but I was like, Brett Kulak is the answer. And so I wrote that down last night, that whatever we were worrying about, I think we're thinking about, I was thinking about like salary cap implications and whatnot. But I was convinced at about 4 a.m. that Brett Kulak is the answer. So I pass that along to you now, fully awake.
Kulak is the answer.
He's the answer for whatever it is we need.
Is he going to get traded?
Maybe he just has some ideas. We should ask him specifically. Maybe it's not on the ice Brett Kulak that has the answers.
Family man.
Exactly.
Kulak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe get him on the show.
Well, we will make the request. He might be available. 1-833-401-1440. How much stock do we put into Wanya's dreams?
Yeah. How is Brett Kulak the solution to our salary cap problems? We can't cut him.
No.
He's a valuable part of the team. But I underlined it. So it tells you it's something.
What's your track record with dreams and what they mean?
One time I woke up, no recollection whatsoever of what I dreamt about, looked over, and I'd written down electricity and about 10 exclamation points. No idea. But I was like, whoa, I got to remember this. Electricity.
Interesting. The text line still buzzing, Wanye. Of course, people still want to talk about these offer sheets. Clayton says, do you think it's possible that Broberg's agent went to the Blues GM and told him to offer sheet him to drive his price up?
I was reading social media this morning, and I love that the Blues have broken with precedent and offer sheeted two separate Oilers because it has stirred the beehive. There are people out there who are looking deep into conspiracy theories. Would this have happened if Ken Holland was still the GM? Why would an agent phone the Blue? What? Clayton, come on, baby.
I don't know, because, I mean, what's an agent's job?
Agency.
Get money and
be cool.
Get opportunity.
Right.
So I can't rule it out. I don't know how far an agent would go, but maybe you're at a golf tournament, you see Mr. Armstrong, you're like, hey, that guy in Edmonton who played pretty well in the Cup final, still not signed. He's an RFA.
Who told us yesterday? Was it Spec that said that Dubas and Armstrong were holed up at the Holinka Cup in a box?
Yeah.
What's that all about? Did Dubas have fingerprints on this play?
Well, they did hook up that second round pick, right?
Get out of here, Dubas. Ruin your own team. Stay away from the Oilers.
Taking shots at Edmonton. What is the point? But I don't know. I can't rule it out. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a phone call, a conversation, just like, hey, I got a guy in Edmonton, looked pretty good in the Stanley Cup Finals when everybody was watching him, and he still hasn't been signed. Would love to get him paid.
Do agents do that? Are they calling up GMs, drumming up interest like that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know too many agents. They never return my call, but
they don't?
No. But I like to think that these guys cross paths. There's a lot of things going on. I'm not ruling it out.
I could see if you're an agent trying to open, like you said, to find opportunities for your players. But like if I'm a GM and their agent phones, I'm not like, yeah, thanks, I forgot your player existed. Like, is that how it would work?
Well, I mean, a little reminder might be good, but we've just, it feels like a lot of GMs don't make these moves, right? Like this is why it surprised so many people that the Blues organization went out. Now, obviously, two players on the same team makes it even more rare and a little bit more unique. So that's giving it a little more legs. But I don't know. I just think it's possible.
You don't suppose it's Peter Chiarelli's revenge, do you, Connor?
That's what we thought yesterday. Maybe that was the conversation. Broberg's agent to Peter Chiarelli. He got the wheels in motion.
Harvard man, eh?
And then he said, you know what? Get Holloway too. Let's get both.
A Yale man would only make one offer. A Harvard man makes two.
Cody texting in. Friedman said on his podcast that Broberg did not want to sign during the season and was going to punt the contract down the road no matter what. Because we had some people saying, well, why not get the job done earlier? And that makes sense. I mean, if you're Philip Broberg, and I think you see it a lot of times players who maybe are in that age range are like, no, I'll sign later. Like, give me more time to prove what I can do before I sign that contract. For what he's done and what he was able to do in that short, 6 month span, he did all that he could to maximize his worth. We don't know what the offer was, if there was offers between the two sides. We know, I'm going to say for a fact, that it wasn't as good as the Blues offer.
That's a lot of money. As I was dreaming about Brett Kulak last night and letting it all process, $4.5 million is a lot of money for Philip Broberg. A lot of money.
Kransky texted and said, I remember when people complained about Draisaitl's contract being too rich. Looks good now. So Broberg's could be good too. But it's only 2 years for Broberg.
Everybody we talked to yesterday said, let Holloway go and try to keep the defensemen because they're few and far between, especially ones who can play in the Stanley Cup Finals. And you said you had a feeling yesterday, Connor, and I never go against your feelings. I never have. I never will. That Broberg will stay. Are you still feeling that on August 14th?
I got to believe. There's too many smart minds in the Oilers organization. They had to know that this was an option. And I have to feel like they had plans for if this happens, this is what we'll do. and then we'll find a way to make the money. Because you tell me, would you rather have for the next couple of years Cody Ceci in a second-round pick or Phil Broberg, who's ready to become an everyday NHLer?
I like Cody Ceci, Mr. Game 7. I don't know why he takes such a bad rap.
I like him too, but I like a young Philip Broberg more.
But they're different players.
But I still like one more.
How interesting.
I mean, Pat Maroon and Connor McDavid are different players. I like one more.
You know who aren't different players? Brett Kulak and Connor Brown. They look identical. I'm convinced they're the same guy.
They do.
Or a clone.
The red beard is strong in the Oilers locker.
They ran out of faces at EA Sports and just shipped us two of the same player. One's defense, one's forward.
My thoughts, this was orchestrated by JJ to get under the cap and not match the offer sheet and be available to keep everyone else. ... That comes in from Melinda Yoshi. Is it a hot take to let Broberg walk and keep Holloway around from Grimace? I don't think so, because a lot of people have said that. My thought process is, if you can keep a defenseman over a forward, you do it every time when they're both quality players. But you do have to factor in that it is twice the amount of money, which makes it tougher. But if you're asking me who's easier to replace next year, the year following, and then maybe into the future, just based on position, it's Dylan Holloway.
My qualifications include nothing to nobody, but I would argue that Broberg has a higher ceiling on his career potentially than Holloway would.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Like a top 4 defenseman in the NHL is much harder to come by than a bottom 6 forward, even if it's twice the price.
Propane P says Stan Bowman GM. Jonathan Taves PTO. No, I think Taves is done. I don't think that's something that's going to come up here.
He hasn't retired though, has he?
I don't know if he has officially, but I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Rage Texture B says Broberg not worth $4.5 million. Other than Ekholm, who is a better all-around D-man the Oilers have?
All around is the key word there.
Who's going to argue it? Darnell Nurse. He's going to get the haters. Rage Texture B says Broberg has a higher ceiling than Bouchard.
No. Bouchard, how many points did he get this year?
I have to go check.
Dad's not here to tell us right off the top of his head.
Top, yeah.
He'd be like, oh, I'll tell you.
The thing is, like, we've had a few people say that if you take away Connor McDavid and like the power play, who would you rather have, Broberg or Bouchard? Bouchard is an elite offensive defenseman, especially on the power play. Rage Texture B puts in an asterisk all around. So yeah, I'd be okay with
all
that.
around. I can see, but Bouchard has an extremely high offensive upside.
Yeah, still just 24 years old. Right now, it's just a $3.9 million cap hit, but that's going to go up in a year.
I bet you dollars to Bubba Gump Shrimp up the street there that Bouchard will have more points in his career in the season than the other guy will, of course.
Absolutely. 82 points in 81 games. So point per game player for Evan Bouchard. That's coming off a 40-point season and a 43.
Broberg will never have that.
No, and he's not going to get the power play time that Evan Bouchard does. That's going to play a role. But yeah, I want to keep them both. I've said it before. I want to keep, for right now, you might say that's a bit high, but I think in a year for Philip Broberg, it could be a little bit better. And then you keep him in the system. You with all due respect to everyone, like we talked about it with Yaremchuk, if we were to see Philip Broberg walk, Stetcher becomes an everyday D-man, which if it happens, so be it. But I would much rather continue along here. You waited so long to get this guy into the lineup with Philip Broberg. He's finally at that point where he's going to contribute on a nightly basis, and then you lose him. No, I'm finding a way to keep him if it's me.
But if you're an Oilers fan, you're mad at Evan Bouchard at $9 million or whatever it is. You're going to have an aneurysm when Bouch comes in at $13 million or whatever he's going to get, and how you're going to make that work with Broberg at 4.6. I'll never understand the numbers of how they can make this work.
We got to find a way.
How much is Bouchard going to make in his next contract?
Well,
what if he wins a Norris? Oh no, it's going to cost so much money.
If you're Bouchard's camp, you're probably looking like, well, you got that guy on your team making 9.25. Who's more important to you? I don't know how the negotiation is going to go, because the Oilers might literally be in a place where the best we can do is blank, 8 mil, 7 mil, whatever it's going to be.
But if you're his agent, are you wanting to be the highest paid D-man on the Oilers? Probably.
Of course.
Especially if you just won the Norris, getting a point a game.
You probably want to be the highest paid player in the league.
More than EK65?
If you're an agent. You're always shooting for the stars. Yeah, you're not going to get Carlson money, 11.5.
Oh.
You're not getting, Rasmus Dahlin, not a bad contract for him at $11 million per year. Werenski, 9.5. Adam Fox, 9.5.
Is Adam Fox that good? I don't really follow Rangers all that much.
Well, he went to Norris. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He cashed into the right time.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, he peaked in the right year.
The timing was good. For he and like Seth Jones as well would be another one where I think the timing was perfect to cash in. But
And Darnell Nurse, too, to be fair, right? The Seth Jones contract drove it.
I think Werenski was right around there as well. All those guys kind of signed around that same time and all benefited heavily. And now we got to see what happens for Bouchard. But yeah, hypothetically, you say he goes on a heck of a year, has a similar 80-ish point season. And I thought he really elevated his game defensively in the playoffs.
100%.
It's going to go a long way for him.
How much money, though?
I don't want to think about it. I don't know.
What do you mean you don't want to think about it? We're live on the air.
Future problems.
But you got to, if you're going to think about Broberg, you got to
$9
keep
million.
So you have 18 million locked up in a defensive pairing. Wow.
I got to go run the numbers. Be one of those finance guys that just runs the numbers in their head. But yeah, I don't think you can make that. I don't think it's going to work like that.
You'd hate to keep Broberg and then someone have to leave as a result too, right?
Depending on who it is, of course.
It'd have to be a substantial. Can you make the numbers work if Cody Ceci leaves?
Well, he's only got 1 year left on his deal, right?
Yeah.
So if Ceci leaves, you clear up a little bit of it. The big thing for me is also just for this season alone is Evander Kane, the $5-ish million on the LTIR. If he's out for the remainder of the season and then it's just good to go, maybe game 82, but you tell him to sit, just to be ready for the playoffs. Man, that goes a long way in this process.
Can he come in cold in the playoffs, not having played all season, and just contribute like that?
Well, probably a third liner, right? Maybe ease him into the lineup. I think so. You can never really replicate game speed, but I think you could ease them in slowly later down in the lineup. This Oilers team's top six is absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's one of the reasons I think Dylan Holloway's kind of been maybe put on the side burner before signing him. They're just trying to figure out everything else and how good it is. Jeff Boucher says, remember when Mac T sent an offer sheet for Vanek? Lindy Ruff almost lost his mind. I think it was $6 million and Buffalo matched. His numbers dropped off a cliff.
At the time when that happened, Jay, the co-founder of the Nation, and I got into one of our rare arguments because I thought Vanek would be a good fit at the time. And I think history now proved he's ended up staying in Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really work at the scale at which he was paid, if I recall correctly.
Well, back then, that was a hefty payday, like $6 million per year. He traveled around a lot after that, though. Islanders, Canadians, Wild, Red Wings, Panthers, Canucks, Blue Jackets, Red Wings. Suitcase right there.
All in that one contract?
I have to go check on that.
That's a lot of work.
But yeah, when Thomas Vanek was a good player. Yeah, 43 goals, 36 goals, 40 goals, 28, 32, 26. Then the lockout hit. He returned and he was at his best, a 20 goal scorer. His last year, he had 16 goals, 20 helpers, and 64 games for the Red Wings. That was 2019. He was a good player, but you didn't want to be strapped with that contract.
It's hard, though. At the time, these look like good ideas. I don't think the St. Louis Blues are going to regret. The second and third round draft picks are a small price to pay if you do end up getting two roster players like that.
Jason says that was Kevin Lowe, not Mac T. Then he did Penner. I love offer sheets.
It's cheeky.
It's tougher when the team the city you live in and the team you cover has to find ways around them. It's been good for us on a 1440 level, something to talk about,
of course.
But it just makes the NHL so much more interesting. If I'm a GM, I've got two young RFAs in the upcoming offseason. Let's take care of business. Let's get this done because I don't want this to happen. It's sneaky.
It's a weird mix. Spec referred to it, I think, yesterday when we were talking to him. The old boys club. The GMs, the 32 management teams of the league. It's a weird mix of collusion and competition. You know what I mean? It's a weird mix between we wouldn't go after that guy due to respect because of something that happened 30 years ago between the managers and I'm here to win. I'm going to steal your players off your roster.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can make this go away by better cap management, being a little maybe thrifty on some contracts, and handling your business in the regular season and avoiding this whole thing. There's been a lot of time where the Oilers could have handled these contracts and
they've had every opportunity.
So it makes it a little more fun. I know the rest of the NHL fan bases, especially the ones that maybe don't particularly like the Oilers, are having some fun with it. If this were the Canucks or the Flames, I know Oilers Nation would do the exact same thing, right? We'd be laughing at them, having a good time. So it's good for the NHL. It gets us, connected year round. I think that's what the NFL and the NBA have done so well. There's always things happening, always staying in the spotlight in some way or another. This is just another one. Midway through August, when it's usually dead, we had the McDavid wedding, and now we have offer sheets.
We haven't talked about the McDavid wedding nearly enough, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's pretty private. I've started to see now people are putting out their pictures after the Australia Vogue shoot was released. Now you're starting to get the citizens that were invited sharing photos as well.
The mere mortals that were in attendance.
Mark McMorris, the snowboarder.
Was he there?
Yeah, I saw some of his posts.
Was he snowboarding?
No, just celebrating, but the crew was there.
The venue is just wild. The photos from above.
Yeah.
That little tiny island. The photo of Lauren Kyle on Connor and Leon's shoulders with the ornamental bottle of tequila raised in triumph over her head. That should be a statue outside the arena. That is a glorious picture.
One day we'll get there. It was a very good photo. There's a lot of good photos from that one. Australian Vogue, I should say, has those for those who want to check it out. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley and Wanye Gretz with you here. Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson as well. Still to come on the show, Ryan Kennedy, Spec, and Sal Capaccio, Buffalo Bills sideline reporter. But coming up next, we'll go out to St. Louis. We'll talk about this just a little bit more from the other side, as we'll be joined by the Blues rinkside reporter and co-host of the Cam and Strick podcast, Andy Strickland. You're listening to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, as well as Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. We'll be back right after this.
Rule number 62, never miss a free pancake breakfast. It's unheard of and frankly, a little upsetting. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Well, once again, we had some serious heat this summer. Lots of plus 30, not a lot of sleep. Am I right? Hi, Dennis from Lease Johnson, reminding you that now is the time to book your Daikin air conditioner installation. But Dennis, it's getting cooler. I will just wait until next year. I know, but AC prices are only going to be higher then because of further industry changes. So don't wait. Order your Daikin AC now and get it installed and primed for operation for next year, so when the heat hits, you are sleeping like a baby. Visit wjcools.com today.
People living with Parkinson's disease are unshakable, and every year we celebrate them. On Saturday, September 7th, join Parkinson Association of Alberta at Rundle Park for our 12th annual Step and Stride Walk for Parkinson's. Visit parkinsonassociation.ca and support those affected by Parkinson disease and Parkinson Plus syndromes. Come together with family and friends and raise much needed funds. Your donation provides support, education, and programs that improve quality of life. Learn more, register a team, and donate today at parkinsonassociation.ca.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hey, Leduc, can leading edge physiotherapy help you? Well, this is a question I face every day. Let me answer the best I can. Do you have a pain or injury to your toe, foot, ankle, knee, hip, lower back, middle back, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or finger? Are you dealing with a sprain, strain, fracture, tendonitis, bursitis, arthritis, dizziness, balance issues, surgery, whiplash, or headache? Okay, I can't list all the problems that we can help in leading edge physio in under 30 seconds, and I can't promise we fix everyone. But I can promise that we'll combine our experience, skills, technology, and hands-on care to give you an edge. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
With you, the show brought to you by playalberta.ca. Lots to get to still on the show today. We'll mix in some Edmonton Elks talk as well. Talk a little Buffalo Bills with Sal Capaccio, Bills sideline reporter, and a whole lot more. But right now, we are going to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. Cool down at McDonald's with $1 cones or $2 sundaes, topped with either hot fudge or caramel sauce. Get your cones and sundaes today at McDonald's. And we got to head out to St. Louis after the offer sheets yesterday. We're going to be joined by Andy Strickland, co-host of the Cam and Strick podcast, also St. Louis Blues sideline reporter or rinkside reporter. Andy, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Well, if I'm breathing hard, it's because I'm out here skating at the Blues alumni little pickup game here. So I'm a little winded. So I apologize in advance. Besides that, I'm doing great, guys.
So right now, who's looking the best at the alumni skate?
Brett Hull and Al McInnes.
Does Al McInnes let it rip at alumni events like this, or is he taking it easy on you guys?
He's not out here today. He's not out here today. Cam Jansen actually looks pretty good so far. Jeff Brown, if you remember him, Logan Brown's dad is out here. You got Andy McDonald, who can still get around the ice pretty good. You get a good amount of guys. I mean, Jimmy Campbell. I mean, listen, it's an alumni skate in August, so it's not the full crew, which is probably good for me.
I was kind of hoping Brett Hull and Al McInnes would be there. That would have been a star-studded event, a must-watch for sure. Andy, tons to get to here at the St. Louis Blues, and I got to imagine right now the vibes are at I won't say all-time high, but a pretty high bar right now because the offer sheet goes out to bring in Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway from the Edmonton Oilers. What's it like around the team right now with the fan base? Got to be pretty excited.
Well, there's a lot of anticipation. I mean, people are excited to see how this plays out, so it's like the clock is ticking between now and getting to 5 o'clock Eastern, I believe, next Tuesday, the 20th. So we'll see how it plays out. Listen, this caught a lot of people by surprise. I think it caught the Oilers by surprise. It certainly caught both fan bases by surprise. In a quiet time on the NHL calendar. But, these things don't happen by accident. This comes with great preparation by a front office here in St. Louis, great work by the agents who are involved. Once these guys are unsigned and it's July 1st, they have the ability to go out and find a team to sign them to an offer sheet. And I really think that's a lot how this plays out. I mean, these teams, or these agents, I should say, they have a firm understanding of which teams have cap space, what individuals' teams' needs might be. And they also have a firm understanding of what their current team, how high they're willing to go in terms of their own contract negotiations. And listen, this is perfectly legal according to the CBA. It's within the rights of the agents and the teams in the CBA. And it's an aggressive move, but it's also probably a strategic move and a smart move by the Blues. I mean, you look at free agents around the league, they typically want to play for in 7 different cities. It's tough to attract free agents. And, the best way to improve your team is obviously drafting well and making some smart trades, but also being strategically aggressive according to the CBA. This is another route to go.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love it. I think it's a great move. If a team's going to put themselves in a situation and have 2 players like Broberg and Holloway still unsigned, still restricted free agents, I think it's a great move by Doug Armstrong to go out there and take advantage of this move and a great way to try to make some moves. Because, I mean, the St. Louis Blues right now, we're not going to call it a rebuild, but, you still want to try to bring in some young talent that can, I would say, immediately play and help this team.
Yeah, and this is something that Edmonton is lacking right now. I mean, outside of Evan Bouchard, I mean, you look at the players who are sub 25, who are contributors and impact players on the roster. It doesn't go very deep, right? When you get past Broberg and you get beyond guys like Holloway, listen, the Blues are they fully understand where things are at with Edmonton and the cap situation that they're looking at. And when you don't get a deal done, you're right. You expose the player to every team that's out there. Now, we don't see too many of these. So maybe certain teams take it for granted and, they don't think that a team will truly, act as aggressively as maybe St. Louis is right now, where, they're signing, not just 1 player, but 2 players to an offer sheet. Listen, the Blues weren't just going to stand pat. I mean, they would love to improve their defense still. I know they added Ryan Suter a few weeks ago, but you had a feeling that there may be one more move up Doug Armstrong's sleeve. And again, I think Broberg's name and Holloway's name has probably come up before. I know I've heard his name, pop up internally with the Blues. I know they're players that the Blues, staff has liked. And you just need to prepare yourself. Listen, these teams understand which players have expiring contracts, how much cap space a team is dealing with. And, once a player is left unsigned and you look at the dead money that, Edmonton is carrying with a couple of players, including James Neal. And then they went out and got a couple of, veteran scoring players who I like. I like Arvidsson a lot. He played 18 games last season. So obviously he was dealing with an injury. You get a guy like Jeff Skinner. He's never played in the playoffs before. You get him at a discounted price. But again, by spending that money, I mean, those are dollars the Oilers wish they had back right now in an effort to make this a little easier on themselves. But, the Blues understand where Edmonton is at. And we'll see where this goes. And we'll see if they can get at least one of these 2. Yeah, savvy move from Doug Armstrong and putting new Oilers GM Stan Bowman in a tough predicament as he still is dealing with the negotiations, trying to sign Leon Draisaitl to a bigger deal, knowing that Connor McDavid's going to be up and available to sign another contract extension soon as well. So let's just say, hypothetically, both these players are allowed to walk. The Oilers decide they're unable to match the offer sheet. Where would they slide into the lineup for the Blues in the next upcoming season? Well, you look at the top 6 forwards for the Blues right now as it sits. I mean, you've got Saad, who probably projects as a top 6 guy along with Thomas and Kyrou. And then you get into, Neighbors and Shen and Pavel Buchnevich, who just signed a contract extension a few weeks ago. Holloway could maybe squeeze his way into that group. He would certainly be among their group at 9. The Blues added some players, in free agency, Radek Faksa, Matthew Joseph, Alexander Tessier, who they were able to bring over from Columbus and give him a 2-year contract extension. Those are all players that probably factor into your top 9 right now. But I would think Holloway is going to push one of those guys down. So one of those guys who were in your top 9 become now, likely 4th line players. In the case of Broberg, I mean, this guy, you put him in on the left side, probably, paired with Colton Parayko on your top pair. I mean, he would certainly be a top 4 guy. So if he's not with Parayko, then he's probably with Justin Falk. Quarterbacking your power play and being a big body who can move the puck and obviously can skate. Listen, I was talking to some players who play for the Florida Panthers over the course of the last 24 hours just through texting. And they were so impressed with Broberg in the Stanley Cup final. And, just watching him throughout the course of the playoffs. I mean, he has tremendous upside. So I know it's a pretty significant, pay increase to go all the way up to, over $4.5 million. But, in terms of what the Blues think he can give this team, they think it would be money that's well spent, on a 2-year deal. And then you get some other guys coming off the books when you look at the Blues defense right now, and they'd be in prime position to extend him and have him be here long term.
Andy, on behalf of conspiracy-minded theorist Oilers fans, would you have dared? Do you think the Blues would dare do this under Ken Holland, or is it anybody at the helm of the Oilers would have been subject?
Times, yeah, I've said this several times, and I may have said it on your station earlier today. I was on an Edmonton radio station. I don't know if it was yours or not, but the easy answer is absolutely not. Kenny Holland and Doug Armstrong are very tight. I believe they're on a golf trip together right now. They take an annual golf trip together with a number of other NHL executives and different people throughout the league. And they're very close, So I don't think, and I want to safely say that I don't think that Doug Armstrong would be doing this to a good buddy of his. Not to suggest that he doesn't like Stan Bowman. I'm not going there. I mean, listen, Doug Armstrong is making a hockey decision. He's trying to improve his roster. He's trying to, get back into the playoffs. They've missed the playoffs the last 2 years. He just signed a 2-year extension as a GM. Then he's got 3 years that kicks in as a president. He wants to build this roster back up. How do you do that? Well, you bring in youth who can play. They've got a number of, high-end draft picks that are on their way as well. So I don't want to make it sound like this is a move that he's looking to do just to get at the Edmonton Oilers because maybe things went south between the team and Kenny Holland, and now Kenny Holland is no longer there. But I think it's safe to say that certain GMs, they work well with one another, and 2 old school GMs who have had a lot of individual success and team success and know each other quite well and have a ton of respect for one another. I don't think Army would do that to Kenny Holland. I mean, you just look at a younger GM like Kyle Dubas, for example, who obviously has been around now for a few years, with his time in Toronto and now Pittsburgh. But you see the way that he and Doug Armstrong are working with one another. I mean, this deal could not have been done unless the Blues had their original 2nd-round pick, and he was able to get that original pick back from Pittsburgh. So this doesn't happen if Kyle Dubas isn't working with Doug Armstrong. And they've made some deals now in very short order, over the course of the last few years, both with Toronto and Pittsburgh. So you got to have working relationships, and if you do your research and look around the league, you'll find that certain GMs tend to get business done with specific general managers around the league.
See, Connor, it's not a conspiracy theorist if it's true.
Yeah. Well, here's another one for you, Andy. I mean, because we've had a lot of people, tinfoil hats, questioning things, how it all sort of happened. And, the way I look at it, if you're going to leave 2 young players like Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway unsigned, you're just opening it up for yourself for other teams to prey on you. And knowing your current cap situation, like, you'd kind of be silly if you have the money to spend and you're a team looking to improve. Why wouldn't you do this? It just seems a little bit obvious to me. But we had people saying, Andy, that the Edmonton Oilers got to get revenge next year. Got to go after Jake Neighbors, and he's in this situation. I just can't see the Blues allowing that to happen. Like, you'll lock him up if you want a guy to be there long term.
Well, you're right, and he won't expose them. He won't make them available. And knowing that retaliation could come into play. I mean, this happened years ago with the Blues when they signed Bernier to a offer sheet from Vancouver. This came right on the heels of Vancouver signing David Backes to a offer sheet. And that was purely a retaliation move from the Blues. They weren't happy about it whatsoever. I mean, they're not signing Bernier to an offer sheet if Backes isn't previously signed to one. It's just not happening. So, yeah, you got to – and listen, I'd say the same thing. If the Blues were to leave these guys exposed and another team were to take advantage of their right in the CBA to sign a player who belongs to the Blues to an offer sheet, then that's the game. That's within the guidelines that we play in. It is what it is. I mean, it's no different than certain teams spending $100 million or north of $100 million and bringing back players, into the playoffs who missed significant time in the regular season, who are probably ready to return health-wise in the regular season, but they don't, because that team can obviously add to their roster and then be ready to go come playoff time. I mean, people complain about it. I don't love it, but it's also legal according to the collective bargaining agreement. And this is another avenue general managers can take, and I don't know why more of them don't do it.
I'm with you. I think I'd be all over it. Yeah, maybe you're shaking things up a little bit, but I'd be going for it whenever I have the opportunity, especially if you're in the blue situation where you have that money to spend and you're okay with sending the compensation back. Just do it. Now, my question for you, what is your outlook on the St. Louis Blues, this team heading into the season? Obviously, we know maybe not the way they would have hoped last year, but man, they've got some really good players. You got that top line of Neighbors, Rob Thomas, and then Jordan Kyrou, and some still decent pieces on the back end there. What are your thoughts on the St. Louis Blues team going forward?
Listen, they're going to compete for a playoff spot, much like they did last year. So much of it comes down to goaltending. If they get the goaltending they got a year ago from Binnington and Hofer, they're going to be in prime position to be right there once again. I mean, if they were in the Eastern Conference, they make the playoffs, right? So, if you can, and the team got better, also under Drew Bannister. I know they had been really good under Craig Berube, won a Stanley Cup with Craig Berube, but the team got better under Bannister, that they can maintain, some of those numbers in terms of goals against and the special teams numbers. And if you can get guys like Kyrou and Neighbors and some of these guys to continue to contribute, if Colton Parayko can have another season where he plays as consistent as he did last year, where he looks like a bona fide number one, maybe not from an offensive production standpoint, but purely from a defending, point of view, then, you just look at everything else hopefully falling into place. They've got good balance in terms of players that they'll put out there on their fourth line, guys like Toropchenko and some of these guys, Oscar Sundqvist, if he can come back from his ACL injury. And I mentioned some of the new guys they brought on board with Matthew Joseph and Tessier and, Radek Foxen. They can get Holloway to join their group of forwards in addition to, Broberg as well. I mean, that obviously is going to, provide this team with a different look. And they get those two guys. I mean, they're certainly going to be right there to fight for a wild card spot coming out of the Central.
Andy, thanks so much for doing this today. We really appreciate you hopping on, and go grab a Powerade or a Gatorade and take it easy after the skate.
First form only, man. If you listen to the podcast, you know that. First form energy drink.
That is Andy Strickland, St. Louis Blues Rinkside reporter, also part of the Cam and Strick podcast. That was around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. Go grab yourself a $1 cone or a $2 sundae, hot fudge or caramel sauce. Wanye, which way are you going on that one?
Hot fudge or caramel sauce? Together, Connor.
Both?
Together.
They'll do that for you. You
can do whatever you want.
I'm going caramel.
We put a man on the moon.
Later in life, I really became a caramel guy.
Later in life?
Yeah. Started off
30 years from now?
No, like 30 years ago.
I see.
Took me a while. I had a text come in here. I want to get to it quickly. How much cap relief would we get for buying out Nurse this year and next? From Rufus McPlade.
Rufus, you crazy. How dare you text in something that rash? Connor's doing the numbers right now.
I'm trying to figure out this buyout calculator.
You put it into Puckpedia, it just said no.
Cannot do it.
I Googled, should we buy out Darnell Nurse? It sent me to Bing.
I don't even know. Just trying to look here. So it's pretty expensive. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm reading this properly. So you'd be paying like 10 mil the first year, then 8, then 400,000.
This is the buyout?
Yeah. And then you're still paying through 2035, 2036. It's $1.5 million annually from 2030 to 2036.
2036.
It's not happening. But it's fun to look at the calculator and see what it would cost.
What will we all be doing in 2036, Connor? I mean, I'll be at Bubba Gum Shrimp because it's delicious now and then.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Can't buy him out for this season anymore. Deadline is passed. But fun to look at the numbers.
Is it?
It's like the Rick DiPietro contract.
Oh,
just keeps on giving. That's done. I mean, we can bring it up forever. We can just keep pouting about it. But the contract's signed. He's got the no movement clause. It's part of your team. It's locked in. Just like Leon Draisaitl's $8 million and Connor McDavid's $12 million. It's just for this season 8. It's it. That's it. Craig says, what happened to Cap Friendly? Well, the creator was hired by the Washington Capitals, and he had to shut down his site. I really wish he would have sold his site to someone or given it to someone. Cap Friendly was the best.
I think part of the deal was it had to be turned off because there's an advantage to the Capitals if that happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams, Connor, that are reliant on Cap Friendly despite employing capologists for extreme sums of money. With that off the books now, I think it's a lot harder for all the teams to keep compliant.
What happened?
Go over to Puckpedia. They have most of the same information.
Hart Levine runs that,
yeah.
I believe. Yeah, good dude. Had him on the show a bunch of times.
Friend of the nation.
Yeah. Devin says, should have traded Campbell instead of buying him out. Gladly would have sent a first and a second to get rid of him.
Oh, thank God you're not in charge.
Yeah, I was a
first round draft pick out the door.
That would have been tough.
Do you think, Connor, if you could go back and sign Jack Campbell, you wouldn't do it again? I was winking. I don't know if the listeners can hear the wink noise I made. Of course, you wouldn't
serious.
do it.
I'm like,
what
no.
on earth? No.
I mean, I would have signed him, but less term.
At the time, did you think the 5x5 was too much?
I have said that I think that was a tool that Ken Holland uses to get players and re-sign players, is give them term on the back end. I thought it about Zach Hyman. I thought it about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I thought about Darnell Nurse. I thought it about Vander Kane, because I think that's a good way to, like, hey, well, you know, maybe the top end money isn't what you want, but we'll give you an extra year or two.
It's interesting to hear that Ken Holland is on a golf trip with Doug Armstrong right now. I wonder if he's just like, yes, yes, excellent. Or if it's once an Oiler, always an Oiler.
Just smiling.
Is he mad, do you think? Or is he like, I don't care. I just made extra $30 million US.
Well, I mean, I thought I saw a clip on the internet from Stoff's show saying that they talked about getting that deal done and he didn't want to do it. Like, he was instructed to sign those two guys, Broberg and Holloway, during the season, and didn't want to do it. So
interesting.
I don't know. Maybe that was kind of his thing. Bring me back for another year and I'll take care of this.
I thought Strickland, when I said, is this a conspiracy theory, was going to go, are you kidding me? Doug Armstrong is paid to make his team better 365 days a year. He would have done this either way. The fact he's like, no, he would have left Ken Holland alone. What?
That's his buddy. Would have left it alone, but I think he'd be silly not to. I think this is a move, you know, now that it's done, he had to do it. It's just those two guys just dangling. You're not going to try to swoop them up. It's like you're walking past a window and there's a hot pie sitting on the window.
Delicious.
Are you not going to think about just grabbing it?
Maybe just a quick bite.
Yeah. Just snag it.
What am I, a bear stealing picnic baskets? I can't steal pies off windowsills.
If the owner says, hey, that's my pie, you say, oh, sorry. Yeah, it's yours. I'll let you match what I was going to do, but you got to try to grab it. Grab that pie.
My kitchen windows crank open. I couldn't put something on a window ledge if I wanted to.
For my story, it wouldn't work as good that way. I wanted like an innocent theft, not like
a bicycle.
Your car is unlocked and you go steal a car. I didn't want to take it that far.
Every car is unlocked if you have a hammer.
Words from Wanye. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will. I want to talk about something I got into recently, just because I thought it'd be like a good relaxing thing. And
pie theft?
It hasn't gone that way. No, I'm never gonna steal pies. Not my game. We'll take a break. When we come back, more sports talk and other stuff here on the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio, or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhawk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So, pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhawk beef jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Midnight Friday is the VIP prize deadline in the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Take charge of the open road with the Porsche Cayman VIP prize or choose $100,000 cash. Plus, be in to win the $2.5 million grand prize, Oilers season seats bonus prize, and so much more. Hurry. VIP deadline is Midnight Friday. Be mighty and support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. 6:49 tonight. Make sure you go grab your ticket. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here. Takes a lot of us to keep this show on the air without Jason. But we are getting by. Still to come on the show, we are going to talk some more NHL with Ryan Kennedy from the Hockey News. Also, Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. And Sal Capaccio covers the Buffalo Bills for WGR 550. Out in Buffalo, some news from Elks practice today. Just looking at the old injury report. Trey Ford, quarterback, listed as limited with a chest injury. So we don't know exactly where it is there, but chest injury for Trey Ford. Kevin Brown looks like he'll be back when the Elks are in Hamilton taking on the Ticats. He's back in practice. Full participant with a shoulder injury. Niles Morgan, linebacker, did not practice, but non-football related. So there's a little rundown of what is going down at Elks practice. I mentioned I got into something, and I thought it might be a nice way to relax at the end of a long day. Puzzles for Christmas this year. I said to the people who asked me, what do you want? I said, I want board games and puzzles because I really wanted to give it a go.
Okay.
Got some fun games that we haven't cracked open yet. Just got into the new house, got everything settled. But yesterday I said, I'm doing it. I'm grabbing one of my puzzles. It's an ocean piece.
A few questions before you get started.
Yeah.
How many pieces?
500.
It's tall order to start with. Continue. Color scheme?
Rainbow.
Rainbow.
Like every color's there. It's under the sea.
So it's under the sea, a bunch of fish, a bunch of things going on.
Yeah, fish, seaweed, all that sort of thing.
Starting with the edges and working in?
Done the edges.
Already?
And I've got some other things going. But like, should a puzzle not be relaxing?
No.
I'm finding myself like anxious trying to find these things. I'm staying up way too late.
What does it all mean? I always wonder when I'm doing one. To what end?
And
is it a knee or an elbow?
Then when you finish it, what do? Do you like glaze it or glue it and keep it together? Or do you just throw it back in the box and do it again one day?
So earlier when we were all staying at home in 2020, I have the bright idea. You know what I'll do? It's a puzzle. And I used to have Australian roommates and they loved puzzles. They were always doing puzzles. They live for puzzles in Australia for whatever reason. The national sport is puzzles. So I go down into the games area of Wanya Manor, which is expansive, and they glued all the puzzles together, Connor. So there were no puzzles to do. There was just a bunch of puzzle art that was assembled, and they glued them all out and then put like paper down and then put another puzzle on top of it. To what end? I'm going to sit and look at this art of assembled puzzles.
So I thought you might like glue it together and prop it up somewhere. Like, hey, I did this. It's an
We're in the
accomplishment.
Louvre. Where would you put these assembled puzzles?
In your puzzle room at Wanye Manor.
Oh, there's a lot of rooms.
Well, I thought so. I also have it's the Costco puzzle, 1,000 pieces. After this one, I don't know if I even want to get into it. Like,
what's the picture? A Costco?
Like, it's a picture of Costco with people out there. Just cartoon Costco.
Do not glue your puzzles together, Connor, because what's fun about a puzzle is fun if you can do it again down the road. But it's not relaxing. Relaxing is macrame, the art of knitting rope together. Puzzles are, I find, especially if there's two people, then fights break out.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to like tell Ashley, like, hey, if you want to dabble in the puzzle, feel free. I'm like, we're on a boat on the ocean and I'm by myself paddling here.
You're working your butt off.
I'm not that good at puzzles, but when I get it done, I feel like it's gonna be awesome.
The last piece of a puzzle is a special feeling, right? You've hit it in. I know people who do puzzles backwards. You know what I mean? So the picture faces down, and they can do puzzles that way. But you have to be a special kind of psychopath.
That's weird.
500 pieces. How far into it are you, Connor?
I'll snap a pic, maybe to show you.
Yeah.
I would say I'm like 125 pieces in, give or take.
How long has it taken you to assemble this much?
Day and a bit.
But not 24 hours a day, surely.
No.
Like 2 hours into it, you're a quarter done?
Yeah.
Impressive.
The question, and I've kind of done the easier parts, but when you're in the ocean, it's a lot of blue.
It's true.
And finding like the pieces that go together just because as the blue shade changes just a little bit. Sean says 500 pieces. That seems small.
Oh, that's what she said. That seems small.
Yeah.
Connor?
500 pieces.
Well, that's not what she said. That seems small.
Yeah, 500 pieces. It's I don't know. It'll take me a little while.
Is it photorealistic or is it art?
It's art. Yeah. So I'm just like something I thought that would be a little bit more relaxing at the end of the long day. It's not the case. And once I finish, I might go back to video games.
Well, video games are the 2024 puzzle.
It's just much better.
But having said that, how many puzzles were you given as gifts when you made these wild proclamations that you wanted gifts of puzzles?
3 or 4. I got a couple board games. I got Battleship, which I'm pretty excited to get going again. That's a classic game.
Classic.
Do you have a favorite board game?
Well, growing up, we weren't allowed to play them because my sister and I got too competitive, Connor, and we would fight each other. I remember once playing Hungry Hungry Hippos and taking a marble right to the head from about 2 feet away because it was thrown at me. So in our house, we were encouraged not to play board games against each other because we're too competitive. Having said that, Monopoly on the iPad's quite fun.
Oh.
There's nobody to beat up.
Can't knock it. Lance says we do puzzles and we always pick one of the scenes from movies, then glue them together with MOG Pog. Then we glue them to our drop-down ceiling tiles in the basement. It looks really cool.
So all your ceiling tiles are completed puzzles?
And scenes from movies.
That's cool.
Like, I wonder, which ones there are. Lance, you got to follow up and let me know which ones you got going on there. Like, I'm buying just puzzles from the store, not cool ones like that. These turtles are going to be the end of me.
Turtles?
There's turtles in this one.
Well, that's the sea. It's filled with turtles.
All scaly and stuff.
Jeez.
Gus in the Hood says the wife and I always have a puzzle on the go. Great brain exercise. Okay, well, that's good. That's a good sign. I'll keep it going.
He's not from the Hood. The Hood doesn't have puzzles on the go. Come on now.
Are you from the Hood?
No, well, not Puzzle Hood.
Devin says, actually, we'll go with Fat Efron here. Lego is more relaxing than a puzzle. If you need help, there's always an instruction booklet, but at least puzzles are cheaper. Yeah, Lego's not cheap. There's a Lego store right behind us.
They're balling.
Always buzzing in there. Aaron says she does 1,000-piece puzzle in 3 hours.
Oh, come on.
Then trades them for more puzzles. Who's she? Is this your family member?
No, we're not that
Someone
caliber.
on Google?
You're world ranked doing 1,000-piece puzzle in 3 hours. That's incredible output.
Jesse tells us puzzles cause arguments in my grandma's old folks home. They argue about if it's the right piece or not. I get it. And Aaron's other half does the 1,000-piece puzzles in 3 hours. She'd be done my puzzle by now.
Top 5 disappointments in my life, Connor, was going down and finding all of those puzzles glued together because they kept the boxes. If you're going to glue them together, throw the boxes out. They're a red herring.
Devin says, are you guys having a competition on how long you can not go talking about sports? What's the 1440 record so far? Devin, my man, we once on Fantasy Frenzy went for a complete hour talking about shopping carts not being returned. An hour. The whole show was talking about shopping carts.
Devin, I burst in the door earlier and said, how many players did the Blues try to sign today? And the answer was 0. We're making it stretch out, baby. Gregor booked it.
We're only on about 7 or 8 minutes here.
We're doing great.
We'll get back to sports coming up next. Maybe we'll dive in to the Edmonton Elks a little bit, maybe some Oilers, maybe the NFL. We're going to be joined by Sal Capaccio at 5:25, Spec at 5, at 4:20, Ryan Kennedy. I believe the Hockey News released their fantasy hockey rankings.
Maybe I'll Google Devin and we can talk about him for a couple minutes.
My man,
look
Devin,
into him.
Give us some more topics. Actually, Devin did ask a text. 1 hour is impressive. Hey, some days you just got to go for it. Devin did say Maple Leafs gave away first to get rid of 1 year of Patrick Marleau when he was still a decent player. A first and a second to get rid of 3 years of an AHL goalie is not bad. Yeah, but the Oilers are contending for a Stanley Cup. I mean, you want those picks as ammunition to potentially acquire someone at the deadline. If they use those picks to get rid of someone, no bueno. Can't be doing that in this state. The Maple Leafs, in my opinion, nowhere near Stanley Cup ready when they made that Marleau deal. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. And then and now they're not Stanley Cup adjacent.
Propane P tells me I recently started reading for the first time in about 20 years. Started off with a trilogy of 1,000 pages per book.
Oh.
That'd be good too. I mean, I would like to get into reading. I just don't enjoy it, but I feel like that'd be a good way to blow off some steam at the end of a long day.
The light 1,000-page read?
Yeah, hey, 20 pages at a time maybe, or, once you really get going, you ramp it up.
Brad for living.
It's a long road to hoe.
Well, 20 pages probably isn't that much. 50 pages at a time?
Let's read a book about puzzles. Both your passions indulge at the same
Jason
time.
Gregor. Lance just texting. We got Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Marvel movies. We have one of the famous painting, but it's Simpsons characters, and not all the tiles are filled yet. But yes, the ceiling of the basement is completed by puzzles. It does look cool.
That does look cool.
Lance, you should get
portions of this hour brought to you by Cantor.
Make it into a puzzle, or maybe Derek Carr of the Vegas Raiders, because I think this is Lance, our good friend, the Raider fan. Tells me every day not to sleep on the Raiders. And Fat Efron, Connor, get Ticket to Ride. One of the best board games. 1440 brought to you by Play, unless you're the first one out.
Risk is pretty fun. Again, though, a lot of these board games on the iPad's nice because you can save them and leave and come back and whatnot. But Risk is a hell of a game.
Peter says 1,000 pieces in 3 hours is 5.5 pieces per minute. I was on the phone with our executive producer, Brad Slater, this morning. Just chatting, getting ready for the show.
Sure.
I did 3 pieces in our conversation. That was about a 10-minute conversation.
That's like a piece every 10 seconds. That's impressive for 3 hours.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Puzzles, I'm not giving it up on it. If I finish this one, there might be, like you say, that sense of accomplishment where I think, let's get the next one going. But I'm a long way out.
Do you play golf?
No.
No? Never?
Yeah, but I don't love it.
Okay. Well, hitting the one right up the middle is a good feeling.
Yes.
A puzzle piece fitting in correctly, or not incorrectly, fitting correctly is a good feeling too. That's all I'm saying. That guy who said, don't talk about puzzles. Now what? Now what are you going to do?
The old glaze and glue. Nice, says Massey.
Glaze.
He says, people crying about not hearing about sports is crazy. I had to listen to people continuously asking if you could just match and trade Broberg and Holloway about 50 times yesterday. Yeah, Frithy. That was actually me just repeating the exact same thing. You cannot trade Broberg and Holloway if you match. And then we just looped it.
Some of my friends are very impressed that you've allowed me to come on the radio this often, Connor. And they said, what's it like going on there 3 days in a row? And I said, it's actually very difficult to stay on topic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you can't.
Especially in the summer.
If we were sitting down kicking it, we'd be talking about a variety of things. But here on the air at 1440, you got to keep it to a limited group of topics, including puzzles, puzzle gluing, and what is the next puzzle?
Westside Don says, no offense, but you fellas are mighty agreeable. Yawn. All right, that's it.
Who said that? Westside Don?
Yeah.
Yeah, you come to the mall and try that. I'll sort you out and throw you into the Lego store. How's that for a disagreeable?
Hey, we don't want violence.
He'll land in the Lego. He'll be fine. He'll break his fall.
Okay, let's take a break. Lots to get to. Rodrigo says it's impossible to trade Nurse until his contract ends. Rodrigo, you had me laughing so hard yesterday. in the midst of everything, you texted into the Lowdown Flow Tide, and all you said was, "We're cooked." And I was cracking up out by the bar, just like, that is very funny.
I liked it when you suggested to Strickland that they're like super pumped in St. Louis as though this is the greatest moment in franchise history. Far from it, my friend. They just won a cup.
It's big time for them. Okay, taking a break here. When we come back, we'll get back into sports. Just wanted to see if anyone else liked puzzles. That was on me. I'll take the blame for that one. We'll also talk to our good friend, and I'd say friend of the station at this point from the Hockey News, Ryan Kennedy, Mark Spector of Sportsnet, and Sal Capaccio. Tons to get to here on the Jason Gregor Show. Keep those texts coming as well. 1-833-401-1440. Right now, we'll get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer at legacyheating.ca. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the MLB. One final from earlier was the Royals over the Twins 4-1. 2 games in action right now. Diamondbacks currently leading the Rockies 10-3 in at the top of the 7th. Padres also up big on the Pirates in the bottom of the 7th. That one 8-1 for San Diego. Couple games getting going right away here. We'll see the Rangers and Red Sox and Nationals and Orioles. A little later on, we'll see the Cubs and Guardians, Marlins and Phillies, Mariners and Tigers, Cardinals and Reds, Astros and Rays, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays in action later today out in LA as they take on the Angels. 7:38 p.m. first pitch for that one. Jose Barrios on the mound for the Jays. The Toronto Maple Leafs have named Austin Matthews the 26th captain in franchise history. He will be taking over for John Tavares, who will wear the A next season. BC Lions have released American quarterbacks Jake Dolegala and Brennan Armstrong from the roster amid the signing of Nathan Rourke, who is set to become the CFL's highest-paid quarterback starting next season. NFL news is Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy will miss the entire season after meniscus surgery, and Jordan Addison left the field for the club during practice earlier today. NFL news as Dan Campbell expects running back Jahmyr Gibbs to be fine to go for the season opener, and CeeDee Lamb expected to play in the Dallas Cowboys season opener amidst contract negotiations. In hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Ryan Kennedy of the Hockey News and ask 5 questions. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray Radio Station. The KJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
You turn on the tap and water comes out. You press the handle and flush the toilet. Living in our modern world, we sometimes take for granted or don't even think about all of the services and conveniences that are around us every day. But GS Construction does. Right under your feet, there's a whole network of underground infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained in order to have these basic services. GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community for 50 years. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk, elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Weeknights from 6 to 9, it's Turn Sports with me, Navin Ramarak. Tune in tonight right after the Jason Gregor Show as we'll cover sports from around the world and also right here in Edmonton, exclusively on Sports 1440.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. for sales, service, parts, rental, and finance. When you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit FemaleSuperLeague.com.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery is back and mightier than ever. You could win the $2.5 million grand prize, a luxurious show home, plus $100,000 cash. Get in now and drive away the Porsche Cayman VIP prize. Plus, score Oilers season seats with the bonus prize and win the Fiji and Maserati early bird prize. Be mighty and support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here on Sports 1440, as well as the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook channels, also on X and the Sports 1440 IG. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, maybe do us a solid right now. Hit that like button. I see T-Man, Murph, Jody. We got Doug Waite. Doug Waite's in the building.
Congratulations on your 104-point season, Doug.
Naren Merrick. Naren Amek, sorry. Darren, Robert, everyone in there. Big thank you for tuning in today. We do appreciate it. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line, the eWell inbox, and the show brought to you by playalberta.ca. Text came in earlier on from AH. Bit of a long one here. It says, one thing I really liked about Andy Strickland, he said, if we, St. Louis, were in the Eastern Conference, we're a playoff team. So glad he said it because it's 1,000% true. But Toronto media hammers us with BS yearly about Eastern Conference being the best and the toughest conference. Nice to see a media guy speak the truth finally. As for my offer sheets, my only complaint about the whole thing is a 4.5 by 2-year contract for a 23-year-old with only 81 games should be a first or second round pick as compensation, not a second. Clearly, if you're offering that much, you see huge long-term upside for a player. The NHL screwed up huge there. Hope we match and see how they perform this year and trade away for more than a second and third next season, if required from AH. Yeah, I mean, putting kind of the monetary value on it and then having that like directly relate to what you're going to get with the draft pick. Declan told us yesterday, if it was $1 more, the compensation would have been a first round pick. So for the St. Louis Blues, they were clearly willing to spend the money and put it out there for Philip Broberg to make it as tough as possible for the Oilers to match while only giving a second-round pick. It is too bad there wasn't maybe a more complex formula you could look into to figure out what these guys are worth because, Philip Broberg, like you said, being a young player, relatively early in his career, was a first-round pick, only gets you a second. I think Oilers fans, and people probably argue, you can get more from that if you were making the trade. But you do have to set the line somewhere. You have to put it down there, and that's what it is. And the St. Louis Blues, they're willing to spend that money on him. And we'll see if it works out for them. But thank you for the text, AH. We do appreciate it. Dylan says, do you guys think that the Oil would have any appetite to bring Barry back on a PTO? Obviously not in a feature role, but a depth puck mover, maybe a tricky fit. Yeah, I mean, a PTO, I think there would probably be a lot of people willing to take a look at that one. As Tyler Yaremchuk said, he did play some good hockey with the Oilers, even on a pairing with Darnell Nurse that did go to the Western Conference Final. Obviously, it was exposed in 4 games by the Colorado Avalanche, who would go on to win the Cup that year. But on a PTO, I mean, I think he was really well liked by the team, everyone in the room. Good guy from, all the chances that we had a chance to have him on the show with Gregor. As a PTO, I'd be okay with it. What's the worst that can happen? You're giving it an option for a guy who, in a pinch, can help you out. I don't know what Tyson Barrie wants to do at this point in the career. Because I know he was off and on with Nashville, and just judging by the Nashville Twitter scene, not big fans of Tyson Barrie on ice. Like he wasn't playing his best hockey, but I just don't think it needs to be someone you're going out there. If it's a PTO, I'm cool with it, but we'll see if he's at that point in his career. Hammer says, I think paying for Broberg disrupts the room. Bouchard is their best defenseman and took a team-friendly deal. Making $600,000 more makes Broberg a new lightning rod for the fans. Yeah, Bouchard, he took the 2-year deal, $3.9 million. He's going to be rewarded very well sooner than later. Like that contract that comes is going to be big. We had a text come in earlier just talking about how couldn't wait to see how the fan base would react to a $4.5 million Philip Broberg going forward. When we've seen what Darnell Nurse has gotten with bigger money becomes bigger expectations. And if you have an off night, that's going to be where the people go. So I don't think it'd be as much as the Darnell Nurse haters, but for a guy who's, I still think is going to have, off nights as he progresses. He's 100 games into his NHL career. I think we'd probably see a few people critical, especially the way this is, because we've even seen people say, like, let him go. If he doesn't want to be here, let him go. I'm not going to blame a guy for a massive pay raise and an opportunity to play hockey.
No, I think you're right. There's very few of us that would have the poor sense to not take a 4.5 time raise on our annual salary that we were expecting next year.
It'd be massive. I mean, would I want to move to St. Louis
for 4.5?
For $4.5 million or 4.5 times what I'm being paid here? I'd consider it. I'd give Gregor the option to match. But, it's in any career. I mean, that'd be tough. And we've had even some people say, like, you're losing a chance at winning a Stanley Cup here. Well, there's no guarantees. Someone mentioned it earlier. Hypothetical Stanley Cup. That's what it is. They haven't won a Stanley Cup here. There's no guarantees. A lot of things went well for the Oilers last season to get to where they did, right? To have the success that they did in the postseason. So many things have to go right. There's no guarantee. Hey, I'll admit it. They're a favorite going into the next coming season. They will be for the next couple of years here, but there's no guarantee. So if Philip Broberg can get paid and leaving the city of Edmonton is how it happens, then he's going to do that. He's going to do what's best for him. At the same time, by signing it, it doesn't close the door on playing for Edmonton. They can still match, as with Dylan Holloway. So for him, it's kind of a win-win. He's going to get paid, and he's going to go get a chance to play, or he's going to get paid, and he's going to have a chance to win and maybe go on an extended cup run here.
Thinking that athletes won't take more money, I think, is crazy. Their window's so short of their careers. You have an obligation to yourself and your family to chase every last bag, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll say you see it a lot more in the NFL where guys will hold out to get that contract and get as much guaranteed money as possible because the average NFL career is like 2.5 years, 3 years. The NHL is a little bit longer, and there's more leagues where you can go play. So even for someone who maybe isn't good enough to play in the NHL for 10 to 15 years, you can go to Russia. You can go to Sweden, Germany, Switzerland, Finland, wherever it might be, and still make a pretty good living playing the game. But at the same time, still, if you have a chance to get that money, go get it.
Yep.
Whenever you can. Dylan said, why would Broberg be a lightning rod in the room? Poor asset management and talent evaluation by the Oilers seems to be the problem. Losing this asset would be a bigger concern from a fan's perspective, from David. And that's what I agree. I don't think he would be a lightning rod in the room. I think there might be some fans that, go after him, be critical, but that's going to happen no matter what. That's called playing hockey in a Canadian market. You're going to have fans that are critical when you're good, and they're going to love you when you play well. And that's on the player to do that and see what happens. But it's asset management. They put themselves in this situation where the St. Louis Blues could capitalize and take advantage of them, and that's what they did.
There is a segment of Oilers fans, and most fan bases, but Oilers fans are the only ones that count. The minute you sign a deal, they're livid. Like the minute you get any kind of size and any kind of term on your deal, the only player, obviously, that's exception to this rule has been Connor. But even Leon took so much strife early on.
Lindsay says, I'd move to Calgary for 4.5 times my salary. Puke emoji.
Yeah.
IMAX says, so one game less played would have prevented this as well. I'm not one to pile on, but wow, stupid oversight. Let him go. Good for him. Most players have the first year new contract hangover. We don't need that next year. Perplexed Oilers fan, why isn't Draisaitl signed yet? I could go buy a house faster than deciding to sign. And for what? Maybe he does not want to sign.
Really? I'd sooner talk about puzzles.
Took us like 5 months to buy a house and find a house. So perplexed Oilers fan. I wish you were my real estate agent because you would have got that done a whole lot faster. What is the rush for him to sign? Like Yaremchuk was on, we talked about it. Guy's traveling. He was at McDavid's wedding. Maybe when he gets into town, they make it official. At this point, whether he signs on August 15th or August 29th, what does it matter?
Wow. And to think that he doesn't want to sign here when every single indication is he wants to sign here, much ado about nothing, Connor.
Devin says, it's actually Darnay's fault. If he wouldn't have needed to come out and Broberg show how good he was, we wouldn't be in this spot. # blame Vinny. Friend of the show.
Love Vinny D. Leave him out of this.
If he had just played better, he would have stayed in the lineup. Broberg never would have been seen on the national stage and would have signed for cheap.
I can see it. I'm a good fan of a good conspiracy.
Devin, I kind of like it. I think you're kind of joking, but I think it. Ben Dangle says, agreed, just ask every running back ever. That's going back to the talk of get that money.
Yeah.
Although, geez, Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell didn't help them out too much.
Are those real people? I don't know.
Oh, those are real players.
I see.
4 times the salary. Hell yeah. Moving all day from Ubo Rob. Yeah. Money talks, baby.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like this. Come here.
Ka-ching. Okay, we'll take a break. When we come back, more hockey talk. We're doing it again. We're going to go out east. We'll be joined by Ryan Kennedy, works with the Hockey News. They've got a new little publication coming out here. We'll talk a little bit about that, get his thoughts on the offer sheets, and a whole lot more, plus Spec at 5 and Sal Capaccio at 5:20. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook.
This is the Jason Gregor Show.
Rule number 41. Never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries.
Every generation before you has also been the most progressive generation.
And Jimmy Carr.
I don't know how to explain this to you. I'm not that small, I'm just far away.
One night, two comedy icons. September 8th, Rogers Place. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.ca. The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries and Jimmy Carr. Produced by Outback Presents.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
For over 65 years, Denim Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denim Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denimford.ca.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
For tuning in to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, as well as the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook channel, also on X and 1440's Instagram account. We appreciate it. If you missed any interviews throughout the day, a reminder, you can always go back to jasongregor.com or give us a subscription on Apple Podcast, Google, Spotify. There's a few other ones, but wherever you want to download, we appreciate it. And hopefully we'll keep you around for another couple hours here as we go around the sporting world. We are going to talk some fantasy hockey here with Ryan Kennedy of the Hockey News. They just got a new publication coming out that was sent my way, the Yearbook and Fantasy Guide. That'll be the Fantasy Report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change, need service late at night or on the weekends, not overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. And we'll get right to it. Ryan Kennedy, working with the Hockey News, joins us here on Sports 1440 and the Jason Gregor Show. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. So first things first, I know you guys got the Yearbook and Fantasy Guide coming out here. So for those of you who want to get an early start on your fantasy preparation, this is how you do. So are you a big NHL fantasy guy?
I'll do stuff around the office, but I usually don't go outside of that because I get in my own head and I try to pick the gems, and sometimes they don't even make the team. So I try to stay away from it if I can.
You're hoping for that buy low, high reward. That could be probably my problem in NFL fantasy. Every year I have someone I just store on the bench and they never crack the roster. So I totally understand. Ryan, let's start off with the Edmonton Oilers, as we, of course, are in Edmonton. And some big news in town with the St. Louis Blues throwing a couple offer sheets to a few of the Oilers' young stars that were not signed RFAs. Dylan Holloway, Philip Broberg. What was your thoughts when you first saw this news come across the wire?
I thought it was tremendously saucy of the Blues to do 2 players at once. I mean, offer sheets are not that common as it is, and to do 2 at once, it was pretty shocking. And it's a very interesting situation because, St. Louis is in this kind of period where they're kind of rebuilding, but they still have the veterans, so they're never going to be horrible. And then obviously with Edmonton, you want to run it back. You were 1 win away from the Stanley Cup. They did a bit of rejigging this summer, but I mean, it's mostly the same lineup. And, Broberg, I covered the final, and I thought when he played, he was pretty good, and you could see the confidence growing, and you could see the value he would have in this upcoming season. And of course, with Holloway, anytime you have a young, big forward, they tend to take a little longer to develop. So it's a tough situation for the Oilers because I can definitely see the upside in both players.
If you had to guess, and obviously, the Evander Kane LTIR situation could work out in the Oilers' favor, and maybe there's a trade, but who do you think they are more likely to keep? Dylan Holloway, who would be a $2-ish million player, and then you've got Philip Broberg, who's about $4.5 million. Is there someone that you think would be maybe the smarter player to keep around if you have to let one walk?
If I had to pick one to keep, it would be Philip Broberg. I think, a defenseman with his size, his mobility, the fact you don't have Vincent Desharnais anymore. And yeah, I know he was kind of a bottom pairing guy, but again, something I observed just in the playoffs and especially in the final is sometimes you just need blue liners that are big and get in the way, right? We saw that, and, I thought Desharnais had his moments where he did that really well. Broberg certainly did as well. And then, with the Panthers, a guy like Nico Mikkola, where he could just step on the puck in the corner and basically say, I dare you to come get it. We're up by a goal. I don't care. Multiple games ended that way. So for me, Broberg, I think it's kind of funny because when he was a draft prospect, when we were looking at his draft year, thought there was maybe more offense, but he's really turned into a great sort of shutdown concept, if you will. And I think, again, with a little more seasoning, he could be pretty valuable. So that would be my preference because I think it's harder to find a Broberg than it would be to find or to develop another big winger such as Holloway.
Ryan Kennedy of the Hockey News joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz sitting in for today's show. So just from your perspective, when you look at this Oilers offseason overall, Jeff Skinner comes in, they keep Adam Henrique, you got Victor Arvidsson signed to a 2-year contract. What do you make of this group that they've had? And heading into the season, where would you rank them in the Western Conference?
I would put them as one of the best teams in the Western Conference. I honestly, it really just comes down to the fact that it's very hard to get to the Stanley Cup final in general. They could certainly do it again. Would not shock me in the least. But if they were to fall to a Dallas or a Colorado in, say, the conference final, there would be no shame in that. And, I look back at their run to the final this past summer, and, Vancouver takes them 7 games. The Canucks were using their 3rd-string goaltender. How could that have been different if Thatcher Demko was in the net? Dallas didn't have Rupee Hintz at 100%. How would that have changed the series? So, you get some breaks along the way, and then, of course, you make your own luck by playing incredibly good hockey, as the Oilers did. I thought Chris Knobloch, particularly in the final, I mean, he had no panic when they were down 3-0. At the time, I just thought, like, man, this guy's deluded, but he stuck to the plan. And, that's why he's an NHL head coach and I'm not. He had a plan and he stuck to it. And, I mean, they were really close. So I think they're right back there. Again, it's just a matter of, can you be that team that goes all the way in the West where we know there are some really potent opponents?
Ryan, out in your neck of the woods, some big news today as Austin Matthews becomes the 26th captain in Maple Leafs history. He'll be 27 when the season starts, takes over from John Tavares, who has 1 year left on his current deal. Why this year? Why now? And how does this make the Maple Leafs a different or better team?
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. And, the fact that Tavares was on stage with him and Tavares' kids were wearing Austin Matthews jerseys at the press conference, I think, it bodes pretty well to how John Tavares felt about this. You don't see a lot of captains give up the sea when things are fine. We've seen high profile versions in the past, Joe Thornton in San Jose. I think it happened to Patrick Marleau in San Jose as well. And it was sort of like, okay, things are going poorly here. We need to, fix things up. This one just kind of felt like, Tavares had been the captain for a while. Matthews needed to grow into a leadership role, but Tavares is still here. Is it awkward if Tavares has a diminished role for the remainder of his contract, which, as you mentioned, is not too long, when Austin Matthews is clearly the guy in town? So, it's always a huge story no matter what Toronto does. That's just, that's what it is being in Leafland and having so much attention put on the franchise. But I thought it was interesting. And, I think it can certainly help just in terms of, where everybody's focus is. And, for Matthews, just knowing officially what his role on this team is. Like, he's the driver, he's the engine, he has been for years, but now it's kind of like official.
My last question for you, some news coming from the NHL today. Longtime Anaheim Duck Ryan Getzlaf joining the NHL's Department of Player Safety. What kind of role do you think he has here? Can he bring some more consistency to the fines and suspensions?
Well, we would all love that, wouldn't we? One of these years, yet another player that obviously knows the rougher side of the game. Getzlaf, maybe a little more skilled than his compatriots at the Department of Player Safety. But, this is a guy that, had such a long career, and he was a captain as well, obviously, in Anaheim. I think he's going to have a lot of good opinions where, when I dealt with him as a player, I always got the sense that he saw things pretty well from a big picture perspective in terms of, his team, on ice stuff, things like that. So I think we'll see that transfer into this role where he'll bring, a pretty, I would say, heavy perspective. This is a guy that he might be a Hall of Famer, right? He'll be pretty close. So I think his word will carry a lot, and he's been in so many situations. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's been on very good teams. He's been on very bad teams. And again, he was a tough guy. He fought. He hit a lot. I'm pretty sure he's probably had at least one suspension or two in his career. So I think he's a pretty good pick because I think he'll have a lot of good perspectives.
I think so as well. Now, just quickly here, for those of our listeners who want to go out there and get the yearbook and fantasy guide, Ryan, where can they get it from?
Yeah, go to thehockeynews.com, go to our store, and for the first time ever, it is combined into one massive book. So it's your one-stop shop for both yearbook needs, and there is a huge feature on Connor McDavid that I wrote, so Oilers fans can look forward to that. And then, of course, the fantasy guide is in those pages as well. I think it's like 186 pages total. So, if you need summer reading, we got you covered.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Ryan, thanks so much for doing this today. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you during the season.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
There you go. Ryan Kennedy of the Hockey News. Give him a follow on X at THN. Ryan Kennedy. A text came in here from Tim. Why isn't anyone offer sheeted Lucas Raymond or Mo Seider in Detroit? Are we going to see more offer sheets moving forward now? Well, just a quick look up here. Detroit Red Wings have $17 million in cap space. So you definitely send an offer sheet to Detroit, but they're going to match it and keep those players. And you're just kind of making the negotiation a little bit easier for them. There's that, but there's also maybe Detroit and those players are in negotiation already, and they're working on a big long-term deal to give them some stability. So that's the thing there. For Edmonton, these offer sheets were made. They're already $350,000 over the cap. Makes it a little bit tougher, increases your odds of actually getting said players. A lot of players or teams do have RFA still. They have cap space. So you can send out the offer sheet and potentially tick off the opposing GM, but he'll just match it. And was it worth it? So that would be my answer when it comes to some other players currently that are RFAs. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get to Declan Kruger in 5 questions. You're listening to the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan, and Donovan Paulson with you here at Sports 1440 and the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook channels, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Gather around the radio kiddies for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest. Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Buying a vehicle at Sherwood Honda comes with 0% intimidation. Seriously, they want you to feel comfortable. So ask anything. There are no dumb questions. How does this car compare to that truck? Ask it. Could the payment be this much instead? Feel free to ask. At Sherwood Honda, you can ask anything without fear of judgment. Like, do you folks have a jingle? Okay, a few dumb questions. And if you have questions about car buying, it sure would make sense to ask Sherwood Honda.
The Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton is the place for all your favorite sports all summer long, including this. And this. From the diamond to the gridiron, the Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton, where every seat is the best seat in the house. Tons of screens, daily food and drink features, plus a game-winning menu with something for everyone. So come out and cheer on your favorite team, including your Edmonton Elks.
Every day is game day at Century Sports Bar and Lounge.
See it, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson, cast of many here from the E-Well Studios in West Edmonton Mall. Some news just coming down from the NFL. The New England Patriots trading pass rusher Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons. Third rounder going back to New England. There was a situation there. We weren't too sure what was happening with Judon in the Pats. Well, he's heading to Atlanta. Man, I love that move for the Falcons. The offense should be a little more fun to watch. The defense loading up a little bit as well. Before we get to 5 questions, a couple texts came in here. 218-33401-1440. Eden. Whoa, a change from the same phone. Arias, son of Eden, says, do Broberg and Holloway have the same agent? Dylan Holloway is represented by Blake Robson, while Philip Broberg has Darren Ferris. I don't know agencies, so I don't know if they're in the same agency, but it looks like they do have different agents. So that answers your question there. And there was one more text if we have time. Gavin says, I think they'll match Broberg and let Holloway walk with Matthew Savoy trade. He may fill in Dylan's position. Hard to replace a D-man compared to forwards. Gavin, totally agree. Savoy and Raph Lavoie. I know at some point in the season, I'm going to call them like Lavoie, Savoy. Like it's going to be flip-flop back and forth. But to Gavin, thank you for the text. Right now, let's go to 5 questions with Declan Kruger, brought to you by The Brick. There's no better way to celebrate the Brick's 53rd birthday than with great deals. So come on down, check it out, or at thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, question number 1. Austin Matthews has been named the 26th captain in franchise history for the Leafs. Pretty simply, what do you make of the move given that John Tavares is still with the club and will wear the A next season?
I don't think that John Tavares is a dummy. I think he understands exactly what is going on. He's 33 years old. He's in his final season with the Maple Leafs under contract. His nice big paydays will be coming to an end here. And he's got to see it coming. I mean, Austin Matthews, he's the face of the franchise. You put Austin Matthews on the ice when you need a goal. You need him when you need him to defend. He's out there all the time. It's his time. And get it done now. Make it a little bit of a ceremony. We heard Ryan Kennedy saying, Austin Matthews gets to see Tavares is there with his kids wearing Austin Matthews jerseys. Gives us a little something to talk about in it. To me, it's just one of those things that it was going to happen inevitably. You might as well make a little ceremony about it and let John Tavares hand over the jersey.
At the risk of being too agreeable and infuriating that one texter, Connor, I agree with you exactly. I think it's a natural function of time, and the Austin Matthews era is well underway, and now the Austin Matthews captain era has begun.
Question number 2. Vikings rookie quarterback JJ McCarthy has torn his meniscus and will miss the entire season for the Vikings. Jordan Addison also carted off the field today for the club. What are your expectations for Sam Darnold as quarterback and for the Vikings as a team next season?
Not going to say I'm a big fan of the Minnesota Vikings, but sounds to me like they're losing players left and right, and their expectations should be diminished.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Minnesota Vikings weren't considered a favorite in that division or anything. The Packers, the Bears, the Lions, I think, will all finish ahead of them in the standings. But honestly, I think Addison's the bigger loss. Justin Jefferson is an absolute stud. He's going to be double teamed as much as possible. I think Addison had a chance to thrive, and we saw that last year. He's a legit deep threat. Now you take him out of the game. While Hawkinson gets a little more pressure on him, and we know he's going to miss some time. It's going to hurt the running game. When it comes to Darnold and or JJ McCarthy, I think right now Darnold is probably the better option. I mean, JJ McCarthy needs a little time to develop into an NFL quarterback. I think there's things he can learn when it comes to making reads. So I hate to be that guy, but I think long-term this is better for JJ McCarthy. He can't play. He's not going to go out there and struggle. He's going to sit there. He's going to go through film every day of the week being with Sam Darnold. And I want good things for Sam Darnold. I'd love to see him have some success, but I think for the Minnesota Vikings, it doesn't change too much. I think that it was going to be a tougher year for them, and now it just gets a little bit tougher without Addison.
Do they go get Derek Carr?
Why?
Just don't bother.
I don't know. Okay, he was a Raider. I'm a Chargers fan. I don't think Derek Carr is that great. I think he's an amazing human, great guy. Don't see the point to bring him in. And then who do the Saints have at quarterback? Why would they just give up like that?
They like Rattler a lot, apparently.
Oh, I like Rattler's arm too, but I don't know, Declan. Maybe we'll have to talk about this later. But would the Saints just give up on their guy like that? I guess it would save them a lot of money.
The division is so winnable for them.
Yeah,
right?
it just I saw that too on social media earlier, and I just kind of confused me.
Did you go with this one?
Yeah.
All right, you led the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm losing it here.
All right.
Question number 3. We're going out to Buffalo in the next hour here. Going to talk to Sal Capaccio. Obviously, Bills fans known for their table jumping. Bills Mafia strong. Which fan base has the best tradition in sports?
I'm going to slightly change the answer because it's not just fans, but I love the haka. I love the New Zealand athletes doing it.
That's a great answer.
The fans aren't necessarily who does it the most, but I just think that's such an incredible New Zealand tradition that I'll put that in there as the answer.
Okay,
It's a great answer.
I want to make
That's a
sure
great
I have
answer.
best tradition. I love the soccer fans chanting. Liverpool fans, you'll never walk alone. I mean, who doesn't get chills when you watch that? So for me, I'm going to go with that. Love Liverpool. That's my team. And I'm going to go with that one. But geez, Louise, there's no outside of me, maybe Green Bay, there's no other NFL market I want to go to more than a Buffalo Bills game and jump through a table and maybe get some ketchup and mustard sprayed on me like that one dude. It's awesome.
That is Connor. I'm a Chelsea fan, by the way. We kick off the Prem season against Man City here on Sunday. Pretty excited about that.
Take him down.
Question number 4. It's Magic Johnson's birthday today. If you take Magic Johnson out of the equation, who are the top 3 point guards in NBA history?
Top 3 point guards, NBA history. I'm going to go with players that I got a chance to watch. Steve Nash. Steph Curry. I love John Stockton, but I don't know if I saw enough of him. AI? We had him at point guard, right?
Yeah, one of the two.
So
he had the ball a lot.
I'll take. Okay, if we're going with that, give me Allen Iverson, Steph Curry, and Steve Nash.
He doesn't get a lot of respect, but I really like Russell Westbrook. I think he's a great player, and I'd put him in the top 3. And then I'd probably go with Steph. Obviously, that's not a shocking post-Olympics prediction. I liked watching him and LeBron. They seem so happy together to then return to the NBA and have such terrible teams to play
Back to
for.
their garbage.
Oh, and Steve Nash is a Canadian icon.
You guys got to watch more ball.
Well, definitely. No. Don't. You're not getting off this easy. You got to tell me yours because you're the historian.
I have Steph Curry as the second best point guard of all time. Oscar Robertson. And I think Isaiah Thomas is woefully disrespected in this conversation.
Well,
but I give it to John Stockton. I give him the edge. John Stockton's assist total. If a player came into the NBA this season, played every game every year for 15 years and had 12 assists every single game of their career without missing a game, they would still be 1,400 assists shy of his all-time record. So he's number 3 for me.
Isaiah Thomas. What was the quote? Like, I did everything I could. They didn't want me.
Yeah.
About making the dream team.
Although I met the criteria, I was not chosen. Yeah.
Great for the memes, but he was very good.
And question number 5. On this day in 1925, Mount Rushmore was first proposed. As such, who are your gentlemen's Mount Rushmores of your own personal favorite athletes?
This is a good question. I'm going to go the first 2 Oilers captains. Number 1, obviously, is Wayne Gretzky. There isn't a Mount Rushmore without. I'll go Connor for number 2. Number 3, I'll go LeBron James, man. I know that a lot of people don't like LeBron James, but like off the court, he's just as impressive on the court. And I respect the hell out of him. Number 4, I'm going to go off grid. I'm going to throw Reed Schaefer in there. You know, the fact he never got into a single game with the Oilers and hasn't gotten into a game yet with Nashville. I have a lot of respect for Reed. I hope he's listening.
We're talking personal here, Declan.
Yes, your 4 favorite, not the 4 best you've seen, your 4 personal favorite.
That's how Reed got on there.
Yeah. Well, I'll go LaDainian Tomlinson. He'll be my number 1.
He was awesome.
The thing is, I could just go all Chargers. That's not as fun. I'm gonna go with one from each sport. Okay, so I got LT for football, hockey. I'm gonna go Connor McDavid.
Well done.
Baseball. So many J's I want to choose from. Roy Halladay. And basketball, Kyle Lowry's close. But Kawhi got us that championship with the Raptors. So Kawhi and Mount Rushmore, his shoulders are showing, and it's a Raptors jersey.
Ooh, I like that.
Showing a little more.
My Mount Rushmore would be, I like what Connor did. Well, Jimmy Butler's obviously could have all 4 spots.
Himmy?
Yeah, Himmy. But he'll be the first one I'm throwing on there. I'm putting James Patrick and Tyrone Brackenridge both on there. Both defensive backs for the Saskatchewan Roughriders back in the year mid 2000s, I guess it was. And the 4th spot would probably have to be Errol Spence Jr., who's a boxer.
Declan, it's all so obscure, you must be right.
If we're
but Jimmy's really all 4 spots.
If we're going CFL, like I might have to drop Halladay and do it'd be Terry Vaughn or Jason Tucker for me.
Jason Tucker was
I wanted to play football because of those guys. Like they were
Connor,
Unbelievable.
I meant to ask you this the other day. We had Justin Rankin on 49 touchdowns that one season in the IFL. How many touchdowns did you have in your football career? Because I had 0.
We talking touch football as well? 2-time provincial champions?
Not a big deal. If you want to throw them in there, go for it.
2-time?
2-time.
Hang the banners.
Got the game-winning touchdown. Took it to the crib.
Come on. What year?
2007.
Still recent?
Yeah. Banners hang forever.
It's true.
We didn't get a banner, but I couldn't tell you. I had none in high school. It was high school football. We were running the football. I like to say I was +3.
In what way?
I was on for 3 touchdowns and none against.
Well, there you go.
Only played offense, but yeah, I didn't really hit my stride till touch football. They're probably like, it wasn't uncommon to go off for like 2 or 3 in a game.
Are you excited for flag football at the next Olympics?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be fun. I want to see like who participates. Is it going to be like a 33-year-old, 34-year-old Tyreek Hill?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, is he going to take a break to go play? Or is it going to be college players? Are we going to have some CFL players in there? Who knows?
Who administers it?
Was it IOC?
But do they create like a flag football department at the old Olympic training ground, or how does this work?
I would think then they probably they're in touch with national organizations, right? Like they would have to be.
Like the NFL on some levels involved in this? Or
I wouldn't think it's the NFL. I would think it's like whatever, like the amateur, American Football Association of America or something like that. Like I don't know if that exists, but it would be some type of organization like that, because it has to be regulated country by country, right? Like if you went to the NFL in America, you couldn't go to the same thing in like Belgium. It would have to be like a national overseeing organization.
The disrespect for the BFL, the Belgian Football League.
Well, they're pretty good too. Second best football league in the world, they say.
I can't wait to see who Australia sends.
Well, they could send like sick rugby players that will just run you over.
But it's flag.
Yeah, but just the training levels, right? Like there's some beasts.
Send Ray Gun back.
Oh my goodness.
Did
you hear that she'd made her own like oversight agency to get herself into the Olympics? And now Australians have some sort of petition going because she like mangled the rules to get herself to the games by being her own oversight committee.
No.
Genius.
It is. Some text coming in here. Yeah, Chelsea. I knew that Declan guy was smart. Hashtag up the Chels. Propane P says Wayne Griffey Bo MJ. That is an elite list right there. Lance McDavid, Tommy Salo, Jeff Gordon, Rich Gannon. RL.
Tommy Salo.
Wait, but hold on. So Propane P, your 4 favorite athletes of all time happen to just be like 4 of the best / most gifted athletes of all time as well.
Where's your respect for the mid-60s Saskatchewan Rough Riders like Declan here?
George Reed, baby. Hugh Campbell, Ron Lancaster, all them good boys.
Some players, some beasts.
Which Norm Lancaster game was your favorite, Declan? If you say
one, it would have to be the 1966 Grey Cup, because that was our first Grey Cup, and we didn't win another one for 23 years.
Graham
I
says,
think it was Ron Lancaster.
No Jason Kidd, top point guards. No, guess not. Muhammad Ali is that would be a good one too. Team Dean. LeBron was incredible off the court in Paris, yelling at the kids that approached him for an autograph. Yeah. You know what Michael Jordan said about those kids?
Nothing.
We can't say it.
We should do one tomorrow, Declan. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of athlete brothers who were also athletes?
That's really good. I wanted to do something. I was going to do Mount Rushmore of road trip songs. I was also going to do Mount Rushmore of snacks. But I decided, for Sports Talk Radio, I would do favorite athletes. But for tomorrow, I like that.
They have to be active athletes, though. But they're brothers.
They have to be active brothers?
Yeah, like Brett Lindros.
But so they can't be retired.
Well, I just mean like what athletes' brothers who were also active athletes at some point.
I like that. Yeah, okay. It'll be on there. That's question 5 tomorrow.
I'm ready.
Are you coming back?
Of course.
All right.
Barney says Barkley, Gretz, Royce Gracie. That's a good one. Honorable mention, Mike Allstott. Mike Allstott doesn't even have to be honorable mention because you get 4, Barney. And he has to have that little neck protector.
Bo Jackson, as we get further and further away from his career, and he unfortunately isn't necessarily given his props. That's a heck of a pick.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson, have you seen him break bats on his head? Like it's a toothpick?
Did you know that Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh has more rushing yards than Bo Jackson?
It's not all about the Chargers, Connor.
Sometimes it is.
One trick pony.
Sometimes it is. When I'm in this chair, it's all Chargers. I can relate it all to it. Base says Mike Pringle for my CFL entry for Mount Rushmore. Very good. Very, very good. Mitchell, Griffey, Gretzky, Iverson, and Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr., Declan. What do you think about that one?
I mean, Roy Jones Jr. in his prime, one of the best boxers you would ever seen. His first win against B-Hop, incredibly impressive, aged very well. His wins against James Toney. He was prime. Roy Jones Jr. was as good as anybody in the history of boxing. Now, he did fall off near the end of his career. That happens. He got knocked out back-to-back twice in quick succession and was never really the same. That happened around 2004, 2005. But in his day in the late 90s, no doubt he was the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
And did he not create Can't Be Touched?
He sure did.
Great
that was
song.
his on Can't Be Touched, Can't Be Rocked, Can't Be Moved, Can't Be Dry. He could do it all.
He really could. Very quickly, Collins says Tyson, Tiger, MJ, Usain Bolt. Lindsay says no Tiger. Wow. But Lindsay, Colin did just get that one in. And Propane P says, hey, I love and respect excellence.
Ooh.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not me. I detest excellence.
Matt Leduc must be a Calgary guy. Kiprasov, Jeff Garcia, Joe Carter, Paul Ranheim.
Paul Ranheim? I don't like it.
Flames player? Play for the Whalers?
Oh, I'm familiar.
Interesting.
It's a hard one, Kobe over LeBron, but like Kobe's dedication to the game is obviously unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
But I like LeBron James, man. I know it's not popular.
I like him.
Declan, you love LeBron, right?
I love Braun. I think Jordan's better, and Braun isn't my favorite player, but he was the first jersey I had, and like the day he retires, I know it'll hit me hard.
The respect, like he had so much hype coming into the NBA, and like his own teammates didn't even particularly like him, and he's just done nothing except be the modern day best player. I mean, you could argue Kobe.
Yeah, I mean, when the worst thing he's done is like hold the announcement and then not give a kid an autograph in Paris. Pretty good.
That kid in Paris is annoying. Let's get real here. The amount of people that bust into LeBron James's personal space and ask for a photo must be annoying as heck.
Yeah, he was French. Come on, like you want to give a French kid an autograph? Get out of here.
Speak to him in English. He'll know what you're saying.
No name on this one. Bo Jackson, Mario Lemieux, Jose Bautista. We got Frazier saying Gretzky, Lafleur, Bo Jackson, Bruce Lee. I like that one. And Bronco Nick, Tyson, Elway, Michael Jordan, and Michael Schumacher. Bronco Nick.
Michael Schumacher. That's an interesting pick.
And just got a text here from Doug McLean, actually. Voice of the Stingers, text me. Heard you guys talking about flag football at the Olympics. It would be the IFAF, the International Federation of American Football, that would oversee it for LA. Just a random piece of info.
The International Federation of American Football.
That's it.
IFAF.
Yes. Doug, thank you for that. That's awesome.
Former GM Doug McLean.
A man of many talents. Playbook Vic, you get the last one here. Ryan Smith, Pavel Bure, Roy Halladay, Nolan Ryan. Good picks.
Love Smitty.
Now we must take a break. Keep those coming in, though. Your Mount Rushmore. Your Mount Rushmore. Not who you think are the greatest, but the ones you would put up there in sports. Your 4 favorite athletes. Doesn't have to be 4 different sports. It can be all one sport if you'd like. Let us know. The EWEL inbox, 1-833-401-1440. Still to come on the show. Mark Spector will join us next. Also, Sal Capaccio, Buffalo Bills sideline reporter and host on WGR 550. Easy for me to say. Coming out in the final hour, but right now we are going to get to a Sports 1440 update with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Booster Juice. You can visit Booster Juice to try the cookies and cream booster ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today only at Booster Juice.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the MLB. 3 finals from earlier. It was the Royals over the Twins, 4-1 Diamondbacks. Big over the Rockies in an 11-4 victory. Diamondbacks only had 9 hits in that one. And the Padres over the Pirates, 8-2. Of the games in action right now, Red Sox leading the Rangers 2-1 in the bottom of the third. Orioles up on the Nats 2-1 in the bottom of the second. At the end of the second, Cubs and Guardians still deadlocked at 0-0. 1 hit apiece for each club. Marlins up 3-0 on the Phillies in the top of the second. Mariners and Tigers tied at 0-0 at that same mark in the game. Bottom of the second between the Cardinals and the Reds. Sees that one tied 0-0, and one other game tied at 0-0 so far in the middle of the second, Astros and Rays. Starting in about 5 minutes time here, we will see the Athletics and the Mets out in New York, and the Blue Jays also in action tonight as they take on the LA Angels, a 7:38 p.m. first pitch, and it will be Jose Barrios on the mound in that one. News out of the CFL world is the BC Lions have released American quarterbacks Jake Dolegala and Brennan Armstrong from the roster amidst the signing of Nathan Rourke, who will be joining the team with $250,000 owed in guaranteed money this year and set to be the highest paid CFL quarterback the next 2 seasons. NFL news is Matthew Judon is being traded from the New England Patriots to the Atlanta Falcons for a third-round pick. And the Minnesota Vikings with some troubles earlier today in regard to injury as J.J. McCarthy will be missing the season after his torn meniscus surgery was completed, and Jordan Addison leaving the field for the club during practice earlier today. Other pieces of NFL news is Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford did leave practice today with a hamstring injury. And the Cowboys, Trayvon Diggs made a return to full contact practice earlier today. That's going to do it for us here in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show. In hour 4, we will be joined by Sal Capaccio to talk Buffalo Bills and Mark Spector, the GS Construction Spec Report. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you're going to tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they won't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job, from home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs. We're doing. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Gather around the radio during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses.
Papa John's, the Cheesy Burger Pizza is back.
Save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See your store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries.
Every generation before you has also been the most progressive generation.
And Jimmy Carr.
I don't know how to explain this.
Yeah, and we'll get right to it. Ryan Kennedy working with
2 comedy icons. September 8th, Rogers Place. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.ca. The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries and Jimmy Carr. Produced by Outback Presents.
If you've ever restored a classic car or seen one, you smile because you know what it took to get that beauty looking pristine. The same is true for men who restore their hair. Nothing but smiles for miles. Patients from all over Canada travel to see me, Dr. Vance Elliott, to have their hair loss treated and remedied. I've been helping people for 28 years. My practice is outfitted with the most innovative and latest hair transplant techniques and technology. And I do it myself. Contact us at drvanceelliott.com.
Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Right now, get up to $11,300 off select Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate Crew Cab models. With employee pricing, combined with Sierra's 6.2-liter V8 gas engine, 13.4-inch diagonal premium infotainment system with available Google built-in, Plus, available Super Cruise hands-free driver assistance tech. There's more reasons than ever to celebrate this summer. Hit it! Oh yeah! Ask your GMC advisor for details.
So here on Sports 1440, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz. We've got Declan Kruger and Donovan Paulson along for the ride. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, you got the Lotto 649 tonight. And if you want to have some fun, head over to PlayAlberta.ca. Use promo code SUMMER and get a $50 casino play for free with a minimum $5 deposit. Use your game sense. Go to gamesense.ca. Declan Kruger, great question in 5 questions. It was your Hall of or Mount Rushmore of your favorite 4 players, any sport, your favorite 4. So we'll get to some of those later on the show because we've got some good ones coming into the eWell inbox at 1-833-401-1440. But right now we're going to get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They are still hiring and looking for laborers, pipe layers, pipe layer helpers, top men and women, lead hands, water and sewer foremen. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet joins us now. Spec, good afternoon. How are things going today?
It's a beautiful day. Summer's winding down. No giant hockey stories breaking today. We're happy about that. So,
we can all it's going good. Yeah, a little smoky out, but we can deal with that. Not so bad for us here in the studio. So I'm not going to complain about it. But Spec, I want to ask you what Declan Kruger asked us. If you were doing your Mount Rushmore, your 4 favorite athletes all time, could all be one sport, one team. However you want to take this, who would be on your Mount Rushmore?
Oh boy. Well, if I thought of my 4, Gretzky, for sure, probably Gordie Howe, being a hockey guy. I would say, you know what? I want to almost say Bo Jackson, because even though he never, didn't accomplish as much as maybe other guys did, there's never anybody like Bo Jackson, man. In my lifetime, one Bo Jackson. I don't know if I have a basketball guy. It'd probably be MJ. Who would it be? Maybe a baseball guy, Ryan, someone like that. What about him? He was the hardest throwing guy. To this day, if anyone asks me what my favorite number is, it's number 4 for Bobby Orr. How do you leave him off? It's a dumb question. I can give you about how big is Mount Rushmore? Like, can I give you 15 guys?
You could modify it. I guess it's your Mount Rushmore. We could be here for hours just giving out our favorite athletes of all time, though, right?
Okay. We could. It's a fun question, but I refuse to engage in this conversation without a large pitcher of beer right in the middle of the table.
Seconded.
Another time we have to go out and do that. Just, rifle through our favorite athletes for a few hours and have some beers. Yeah, not a bad idea. Now, Spec, we are, a day later, like you said, we're still coming down from the news yesterday of the offer sheets from the St. Louis Blues. And, we've had a chance to hear a lot of fans' reaction to it and what they thought, what the Oilers should do here. 24 hours later plus, realistically, what do you think the chances are that the Edmonton Oilers can find a way to retain both of these players?
I think there's certainly realistically chances they can. Like, let's face it, you can trade anybody in this league for one. Like anyone, can you trade? Like, all they need to basically do is Kane goes on LTIR, and you trade a CC or a Kulak, and boom, you got them both.
Mm-hmm.
You got room for them both. You could trade Kulak or CC and attach a draft pick in there. I'm telling you, there are 2 players that everybody's looking for defensemen. Find me a team in the league that has 6 defensemen, all better than Brett Kulak. Like, forget it, right? So you could do it. Like, no one's saying you can't do it. It's just a question of what do you want to do? To me, this is a bit of a window into the right now versus the tomorrow. Like, I don't think Broberg and Holloway are the difference between you winning a cup right now, but they are the difference. You have a viable team tomorrow. So, do you mess up today's formula to protect tomorrow with Holloway and Broberg? And it's a hell of a conundrum. And that damn Armstrong's got the Oilers thinking pretty hard, scratching their foreheads, man. They got some thinking to do here about it's deeper than you think. The more you think about it, the deeper the whole conundrum gets.
Absolutely. And I mean, you look at it and, up front, I think the Oilers are so strong. If it were to be Dylan Holloway leaving this team, I think they can find a way to replace the goal total. They brought in Skinner. They got Arvidsson. Like, they've got the depth there. But defensively, down Philip Broberg, I think that could be a big miss. Who do you think steps into that spot and, tries to fill the void left?
Oh, I think if they if for some reason they do, let's say they lose Broberg for the sake of this conversation, I think the first thing they do is they go out and sign $1 million right shot defenseman named Justin Schultz or Tyson Berry or Kevin Shattenkirk or someone like that. Those guys are free agents right now. So that's the first thing that happens. They get a veteran guy to come in. They're not just going to say, our seventh guy is now going to be our sixth guy. I don't think it's going to happen that way. So, if that's what happens, they got to go out and find $1 million defenseman. And there are some guys out there. All those guys are feasible third pairing right shot defensemen, are they not? Or am I blowing smoke here or what?
No, you know what? It's funny you say that because those were two names that have been brought up since we started today on the show. Was it Justin Schultz and maybe Tyson Berry? I think that would be one. Now, this one comes in from Norm in a combine. He's saying, so hypothetically, we're going down a rabbit hole here, but you trade Ceci or Kulak. Is that the same situation? You go out there and you look for one of these veteran defensemen, sign him for $1 million and plug and play, go from there?
Yeah, that's exactly what you do, right? It's exactly what you do. You like the guys you have, but they're not irreplaceable. Whether their name is Broberg or Kulak or, sure, Draisaitl and McDavid, they're replaceable. But most players, there's an old saying among hockey people, never fall in love with a player because you might have to trade them, you might lose them, and they're always replaceable. So it can be done. If Broberg goes down the road here, good for him. He's making way more than the Oilers ever would have paid him or should have paid him. And good luck down the road. And the Oilers still have to play 82 games next year, so they're going to hit the market, find guys. It's just how it works.
Never fall in love with a player spec. That's good advice. I fell in love with Reed Schaefer on draft season. And I'm the proud owner of the only Reed Schaefer jersey not owned by Reed Schaefer, a member of Reed Schaefer's immediate family. And then you know what happened? They traded him for the best modern defenseman since Pronger, and nobody's in my corner that we miss Reed Schaefer because everyone just says, yeah, but look how good Ekholm is.
Yeah, well, how many NHL games has Reed Schaefer played yet?
Yet, but just wait.
Yeah. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. This isn't me saying he's not going to play. He's just a guy that fits a developmental mold of a team that's a few years away, like Nashville. He doesn't fit Edmonton. He'd still be in Baco in Edmonton. So if you're looking for someone to tell you that Ekholm for Reed Schaefer didn't work out so good, you're going to look a long time, pal.
I put him on my Mount Rushmore spec. That's how impressed I was by Reed Schaefer at training camp that 1 year.
Yeah. Well, who was the other guy? Training camp lore is littered with guys who scored 5-6 goals in training camp and then couldn't play, right?
Oh, Reed didn't even do that, though.
Yeah, who's the guy? Didn't we have one through here?
Ty Ratty.
The guy that came from Arizona. Ty Ratty's one. The guy from Arizona that had the great quotes all the time. What was his name?
Perlini.
He had a hell of a camp here.
Oh, yeah.
Where's he playing these days? Italy or something? So, hey, man. I like a guy that can talk too, and I like Reed Schaefer. He's a good young guy and a good young player, and he played my golf tournament one time, so he's okay by me.
I love an Edmontonian or an Edmontonian era who wants to be an Oiler, right? Savoy is very similar breed and former Moose Jaw Warrior, so that's exciting too. Spec, do you believe the conspiracy theory that Armstrong doesn't tender these offers if Ken Holland is the GM?
Well, I want to say this. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory. I know that they're very, very close friends. So I think that there's some validity to the fact that one close friend would have done this to another in hockey. That's just what history tells me. What I don't, however, buy is this theory that Holland didn't get the job, he wanted to stay, and he talked to Armstrong, and that's why it happened. This is Holland's revenge or Chiarelli's revenge. That's just a bunch of conspiracy theory. You know what? So, somewhere in there is the truth. I do believe probably because those guys are so tight that might not have happened, but it still might have. It still might have.
Mark Spector joining
what's the overall take? So what's the take out there on this, boys? What are people thinking?
in the sense of conspiracies, or just to what's going to happen?
No, in the sense of conspiracies. I mean, I see some blame somehow for Holland on this thing. I'm not sure. They blamed him for everything, including getting to a Stanley Cup final. So I guess they're still blaming him for stuff.
Yeah, Andy Strickland came on and he said, he thinks that if it's Ken Holland as the GM of the Edmonton Oilers, this does not happen. Maybe.
And what's his reasoning on that?
Just the friendship with Holland and Armstrong. Just they're close. It wouldn't have happened. Maybe there's some thought that Ken Holland would have found a way to lock it up and not have these guys available to be claimed or the offer sheet. But yeah, I mean, hey, we're seeing it all in here. We're seeing, any opinion on this situation, whether it's bringing them back could cause an issue in the room to let them walk and all that sort of thing. We've seen it all in the text line. There's a lot of varying opinions here.
Well, I know the people on the text line they think these things through very deeply before they text. There's no rash texting going on. All of them know. Okay, I'll stop.
Spec, one last question before we let you go here. Trey Ford today at practice was a participant, but he was limited. They listed as a chest injury. They'll obviously practice tomorrow, probably a light walkthrough on Friday before heading out to Hamilton to take on the Ticats on Saturday. Do you think we see Trey Ford, or will it be McLeod Bethel Thompson?
Well, I mean, if you're asking me a medical question, a player who's injured can't play. No one's questioning Trey Ford's heart or willingness to play. Obviously, there's none of that going on. So, honestly, the team wants him to play. They play better when he's their quarterback. If there's any way to get him in, he's going to play. But having said that, football's a brutal game, man. And quarterbacks, especially quarterback the way Trey Ford quarterbacks, he's going to get hit in Hamilton. So, to me, honestly, my opinion, there's one opinion that matters here. It's the trainer. The trainer's going to call this shot. And it's not 1975 anymore. We don't run injured players out there just because we're trying to win games the way we used to anyway. So I hope he plays. That's all I got for you. I hope he plays. But if he doesn't, it's the doctor making the call, in my opinion.
Got to shoot a text to Brian Cheeseman, maybe see what he thinks.
Yeah, right. Any trainers over there, get on them. They'll tell you. They'll give you the scoop.
See if he'll let me know. Spec, thanks for doing this today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, boys. Thanks a lot.
See you, Spec. Mark Spector, Rogers Sportsnet, joining us here in the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. They are hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. Keep those texts rolling in here to the EWEL inbox, 1-833-401-1440. We asked for your Mount Rushmore of your favorite players. Ricky in the Donut says, mine would be Mark Messier, Roger Clemens, Mike Tyson, and Tom Brady. We had 10-10 Ken, Motorsports Edition, Gilles Villeneuve, John Force, Rusty Wallace, and Helio Castroneves. I'd have Colin Livingston in mine, karting legend, friend of the show, and a few others, obviously.
Can I just add, without the car stuff there, if Justin Schultz is the answer to this, and I would just like to say that when Justin Schultz was an Oiler, I love every Oiler past and present, used to stress me out. He'd get walked. You know what I'm talking about, Connor. Let's not pretend. How old is Justin Schultz right now?
34.
Oh my goodness. You want to bring back 34-year-old Justin Schultz? Stress me out in Cup run of 2025?
Hey, he is 34.
Well done.
Nailed it. Yeah. I mean, Stanley Cup champion Justin Schultz. Don't forget that. Rocked number 19, which I always thought was cool. Maybe it's time we bring him home.
No, Nick Schultz, the other Schultz. Is he available?
He wore 15, right?
Remember that year they had the J in the end? That was a year and a half you could get behind, I'll tell you.
Some more for you. Jason in Leduc says Bo Jackson, Ken Griffey Jr., Curtis Joseph, Carlos Delgado, and he's throwing one more in there, Roger Clemens. Drew, in the end, I think Broberg and Holloway wanted to get paid. It's their choice to leave, but I can't blame them. Drew, I'm with you. They're going to get paid either way. This is like the means to the end of negotiations. You're going to get paid in Edmonton, and if they don't want to pay you, you're going to get that money in St. Louis. You go live in the loop, listen to Nelly, eat barbecue.
Fred Brathwaite's in your video.
Fred Brathwaite.
Remember that?
No.
He was in the Ride With Me video of Nelly when it was all St. Lunatic stuff. And I think they were at the baseball diamond and Fred Brathwaite in a Blues jersey in the video.
Nice.
Oh,
too bad you're not on camera. People could have caught that
dance move I was doing. Fred Brathwaite, I call it.
Yeah.
One time I was in Germany, Connor, and I was about to leave the hotel to go and live a rich and full life, as you do. And as I'm leaving the hotel, I look at the TV. I don't know how old he was, but it was Fred Brathwaite tending net for a German hockey team. I didn't go out that night to watch Fred Brathwaite put on, I believe it was over 40 saves. It was unbelievable. I regret nothing.
You also mentioned the St. Lunatics. Who's your favorite?
Murphy Lee.
Yeah. Murph Dirt.
Come on.
Murph Dirt, as we called him.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa.
Good connection there. I don't know any others, but that's okay because I don't think anyone does. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're heading to Buffalo. We're talking Bills with Sal Capaccio, Bills sideline reporter on the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Be Melanjolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt, and fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Need a new AC, furnace, duct cleaning, or water treatment system? Save up to $2,500 on a complete system and get a 12-year parts and labor warranty with Modern Air and Water. Your Air Ease Pro dealer at modernairwater.com.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at OnTheRocksEdmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
An accident. And it wasn't your fault.
How do I get the compensation and support I need?
How do I get treatment paid for?
Why does an insurance adjuster want to meet with me?
Where do I even start with all this paperwork?
What if I never get better?
Feels like no one has my back.
Robinson LLP does. Visit RobinsonLLP.com to find your injury lawyer. Robinson LLP, the recovery team.
Eric McCuskey here, head of the family at Furnace Mountain. What are you waiting for to install air conditioning? A few sleepless nights? Your family complaining? Or the hot spell when we have a 3-week wait? The time to get AC is now. Our expert installers are typically done in a few hours, and your family is comfortable all summer long. Daikin is offering a $1,775 rebate on a complete fit air conditioning system. Visit FurnaceFamily.com. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night. FurnaceFamily.com.
Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Balson with you here. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Grab your Lotto 649 ticket tonight. Also, code word summer. You can get a $50 free play at the casino with a minimum $5 deposit. Use your game sense. So we are going to go to our camp report brought to you by Action Electrical, the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, TAG, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net. And we head out to Buffalo with Sal Capaccio, Bills sideline reporter, also host with WGR 550. Sal, good evening. How are things going today?
Pretty good. I'm actually in Pittsburgh right now because the team has a joint practice tomorrow with the Steelers and then a preseason game on Saturday. So a few days hanging out in the Burgh.
Okay, now here's my question for you. When you're out in Pittsburgh, as you're working, but you get a little bit of time off, I would hope, what does one do?
We're figuring that out right now. Actually, it's really funny to ask. So apparently I'm looking at the schedule. Tomorrow night, Bruce Springsteen is here. And Friday night, Paul Skeens is pitching for the Pirates. So I think we can figure some things out.
It works out quite well for you. That is excellent. Steelers and Bills meeting 5 o'clock Eastern time, I believe. Sorry, 5 o'clock Mountain time, Saturday night. Should be a good one to see, especially with the Steelers quarterback situation. But we're talking Buffalo Bills here. And my first question for you, and I'm sure you've discussed this maybe more than you'd like to, the wide receiver situation with the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, with Josh Allen, anyone out there is going to be a weapon. But the team drafts Keon Coleman. You got Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. After losing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis through free agency and trade. So when you look at this receiving room as a whole, just talking wideouts here, how confident is Bills Mafia in the group here?
Bills Mafia is kind of wishy-washy. Some are confident, some aren't. You're going to get 50-50. You're going to get a lot of different responses on that. I think the Bills are very confident in it, though. I think that this is a kind of by design, by intention, by the organization, to kind of go with a lot of different guys who have a lot of different skill sets, who can do a lot of different things. I think the Bills want to run an offense where a defensive coordinator can't say, okay, this is where they're going to line up. This is their number one guy. It's going to be every week could be somebody different. Curtis Samuel could be lined up outside. It could be lined up in the backfield. He's a former running back. Keon Coleman could be lined up outside. It could be lined up inside. Same thing with Khalil Shakir. Bills Mafia, the fan base, is still very much wondering, like, okay, what do you have here? Who's the go-to guy? And I think those are legitimate questions. But I think the Bills themselves are very confident in what they have. But we'll see how it shakes out on the field.
And Sal, I mean, another reason to be confident, I would think, is Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, 2 great tight ends. If you're a fantasy football player, Dalton Kincaid is extremely high up on my list for tight ends going into the season. Just how good do you think those two can be? And then especially once you get into the red zone.
Yeah, I think that Dalton Kincaid, to me, by the end of the year, will be at a Pro Bowl type level, an All-Pro level, I would even say. Now, I don't know if you'll make the All-Pro team. There's a lot of great tight ends, obviously, even in the AFC. But I think that's the kind of player we're talking about. In fact, at the end of the year, I would guess and predict that Dalton Kincaid leads this team in targets more than anybody else. I think he's in for a huge number. He's in for a huge ascension. I think he's going to be a household name by the end of the season. Dawson Knox had kind of a lost season last year. They really wanted to run a little more 12 personnel. It didn't really work out early because Dalton Kincaid was, kind of still feeling his way. And then once he did, Dawson got hurt. I think this year, though, they're going to do that a lot. I think you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel, and you're exactly right. I think red zone is where it's going to show up the most. These are two. Dawson Knox is not Dalton Kincaid as a pass catcher, but he's a really good, well-rounded tight end. And the Bills can put him in different situations and have a lot of different matchups. You go to the red zone, you think about this. You could have Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Keon Coleman, Marquez Valdez-Scantling maybe, who's on the team, obviously tall guy. But you have a lot of different options here for the Buffalo Bills.
Sal Capaccio joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, Buffalo Bills sideline reporter, also WGR 550 out in Buffalo, currently in Pittsburgh as the Bills set to take on the Steelers on Saturday. Wanted to ask you about Josh Allen, and no one's ever going to question this guy, like elite quarterback in the NFL. Crazy, he's still just 28 years old. I want to ask you this: what's the focus going to be for him when it comes to running the football? Last year, 111 attempts. Guy was absolutely unbelievable for fantasy football. 15 rushing touchdowns, just crazy. Are you expecting him to still play with that kind of style where running the football is a high priority?
I do, not because it's a high priority necessarily, because you don't want Josh. Nobody wants him to put him in harm's way, but Josh that's the way he plays. That's his style. And some may call it reckless. He's a football player. He's an athlete. He's going to do what it takes to get the job done. I wonder if maybe the red zone and short yardage carries go down a little bit because they do have Ray Davis now, and they've kind of been trying to work on the last couple of years. They signed Damian Harris last year. He didn't play a lot because he had that neck injury early in the season. They had Latavius Murray, who's a little bit older, but I think they wanted to take some of that off of Josh's plate. But I think running itself, it's not going to be design runs. But, man, you're going to see Josh, even in the preseason game last week, right? The last play he played was Josh taking off in a preseason game and then sliding after a first down. It's just his style. You can't take that out of him. So I don't think that that's going to go away anytime soon.
And what are your expectations for James Cook? Yardage-wise, really had a great season last year, only 2 scores, and I know that's just a fantasy football thing that I have to bring up. But what do you expect for James Cook this year going into season 3?
James Cook had a real big ascension last year, right? He was a really fantastic dual threat. He finished, 6th in the league in yards per from scrimmage, or 4th, and 6th in the other in rushing, whichever way it was, one or the other. But either way, he's a guy the Bills really relied on in a lot of different ways. If you look at when Joe Brady took over, 7 games, maybe 6 games, I think 7 weeks, 6 games, 2 things really happened. 3 things. Number 1, Stephon Diggs' production went down. But number 2, Khalil Shakir and James Cook production went up. And I think because of that, you can see some clues on how he wants to use these guys. I think James Cook is, one of the better dual threat running backs in the league. And we'll see how they want to use him. But look, they did draft Ray Davis, 4th-round running back. They like him a lot. I think it's not because they don't like James Cook at all. I think they just want to make sure that James Cook can stay healthy at his size all season.
When you look at the defensive side of the ball, obviously we know Von Miller going to play a role, but AJ Epinesa has been pretty good. You got some pass rushers there. Changes on the back end with Jordan Poyer leaving. Micah Hyde. What are the expectations for this team as a whole on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, anytime you have Sean McDermott coaching, I think that you put your mind at ease on defense. To me, it's one of the better defensive coaches in the entire NFL. His system works. It's it's all about the sum rather than the parts. Although you do get some parts, it's really about them working as a team, working together, not allowing big plays. Yes, they're going to be losing. They have lost some key core members over the last several years. Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White. Micah Hyde is still a free agent. He could come back at some point. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen necessarily, but that is on the table if they really need him. But that being said, they're also got younger and more athletic. Look, those guys have been great for the Bills. There's no doubt. But they also haven't played a lot of football the last few years because they've been injured. Micah Hyde missed, a lot of the season a couple of years ago because of a neck injury. Jordan Poyer was in and out of the lineup. Tre'Davious White missed basically a season and a half, essentially, coming off an injury. Then a season because he had the ACL and then the Achilles last year. So these are guys that they've been very important, but it was time to kind of transition out. And as much as it hurts Bills fans, they're going to be a little younger. They're going to be a little more athletic. You're probably going to deal with some growing pains there. But I think the Bills are confident in the system that Sean McDermott brings. And I think because Sean McDermott's the coach and because they still have the front 7 they have, and you say, Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa and Von Miller, what can he bring? Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver and Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard, I still think they can be a top 5 defense.
I'm glad you got touched on those just a little bit here because Manny D of Bills Mafia texted in wanting to ask about Milano and a few of those other guys. So, it's going to be interesting with Buffalo. What about your thoughts on the division as a whole? The Dolphins and Jets, assuming they can stay healthy, will be competitive. The New England Patriots, I know, made the trade sending Matthew Judon to Atlanta. So that's kind of good news for the AFC East there. But when you just look at Miami and the New York Jets, who do you think is going to be the tougher test of those two teams in the division?
I think it'll be the Jets as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, which is a big if. But I think if he is healthy, they'll be a serious threat to the Bills. They have a lot of dynamic weapons on offense and a Hall of Famer at quarterback. But we've never seen a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles, right? I mean, what does that look like? I think that even their offensive line isn't great. It's still something that kind of has to be a little concern for them to try and keep them healthy. But on defense, boy, they've given the Bills fits the last few years, and they're a fantastic defense. They have a good defensive coach, Robert Saleh. I think that's the team. To me, Miami is a team more in transition. Look, they lost a lot on defense. They have several guys that left via free agency, including Christian Wilkins, who's obviously a fantastic player. But they have Jalen Phillips coming off an injury. They have Bradley Chubb coming off injury. He's still not playing yet. There's a lot of, transition there, like I said, and change. They have their third defensive coach and defensive coordinator and system in the last 3 years. So what does all that look like? I think, Tua obviously stayed healthy last year, but can he stay healthy again for a full season? It's a lot to ask, I think, for Miami, but they certainly have a dynamic, offense, a lot of weapons, a lot of speed, and a guy, Mike McDaniel, who can put up a lot of points. But I wonder on defense how it looks for them.
Sal, really appreciate you doing this. So you might have to send a text to your buddy Pat McAfee and see what you can get up to in Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, you're right about that. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, Pittsburgh's great. It's nice warm weather out here tonight, so we'll be here for a few days. The Bills have a joint practice inside the stadium tomorrow with the Steelers. So, we'll see how that goes, and then they'll have their game on Saturday night.
Absolutely awesome. Hey, thanks a lot for doing this today.
You got it. Thanks a lot.
There you go, Sal Capaccio. Buffalo Bills sideline reporter, frequent guest on the Pat McAfee Show, and host on WGR 550 in Buffalo. Man, I want to go to a Bills game. I don't know if Mike's picked that up, but I just heard Declan say, hell yeah. Wanye, you want to go jump through some tables?
No. I was thinking about what's on my Mount Rushmore of mountains while you were having that conversation. Mount Fuji's got to go top 4, Declan. Iconic mountain on Mount Rushmore.
Well, I would say Everest, Kilimanjaro, K2, and a special one for me since I climbed it with friends, woke up at 4 a.m. to do it, took us damn near all day, would be Mountain Temple out in Lake Louise.
Declan, you're a mystery man. Every word out of your mouth, I have no earthly idea.
It's just like every second word, it's like a new space-time continuum gets cracked open.
Imagine what a Mount Rushmore of mountains would look like visually. Beautiful.
Now that's all I want to think about.
Well, that's what, when you're talking about your football over there, Connor, that's what I was thinking about.
If you're going to a country to see mountains, you go in China, Pakistan, Nepal, or India?
That's a good question.
It's got to be Nepal, right? Just because of Everest. Like, it has to be. All good choices in that range.
A friend of mine climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and she said what blew her away was how many people were doing it while she was doing it. So, I think Everest is the same now. Like, there's crowds of people climbing these things.
Yeah, Kilimanjaro and Everest is certainly harder than Kilimanjaro, but both are relatively tourist friendly. Kilimanjaro especially. Everest is still a tough one, but it's certainly easier now. K2 is the one where 25% of people who try it die, and you really need like ice picks and like ice shoes and things like that. And it's like a real.
That's it. 25%.
Yeah.
Give me a mountain where 99% of people die. There's a climbing challenge.
Because I think like only 800 people have ever tried to climb it, and 200 of those have died. For K2.
That's incredible.
Crazy stuff.
Do they still let people climb it all willy-nilly, or is there rules around it?
No, like there are guides and stuff and like rules, but
wait till K3 comes out.
That's what I'm saying.
Game over.
Wait till you hear about K4.
Game over.
I mean, there is K6.
What?
Yeah.
Already?
Absolutely. They're backtracking. I am Wikipediaing mountain ranges now, so when I listed off those countries, I didn't know that.
I was thrilled with the iPhone 14 until the 15 came out. And now I don't even know how I made use of this garbage. If you think K2 is scary, K3 is going to blow your mind.
It's going to change the game. We shall take a break. When we come back, we'll read more of your text. We did the Mount Rushmore, not of mountains, not of Rushmores, but of your favorite professional athletes. Doesn't have to be the greatest, just your favorite. If you want to get those in, 1-833-401-1440. That is the EUL inbox to do that. And more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Also streaming on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter /X, and Facebook. We'll be back after this. The show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
You turn on the tap and water comes out. You press the handle and flush the toilet. Living in our modern world, we sometimes take for granted or don't even think about all of the services and conveniences that are around us every day. But GS Construction does. Right under your feet, there's a whole network of underground infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained in order to have these basic services. GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community for 50 years. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for two with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having the semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Imagine hitting 13 out of 14 fairways from the tee. It can happen. It does happen with a driver created for you by Fitted Golf. We are the only company in Edmonton who fits for all 9 features of each golf club. Amateurs learn to play like amateurs from amateurs. Come work with our professional team of scientists, engineers, and club builders and get fitted with the clubs designed for one golfer. You. Visit fittedgolf.ca today. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin? Mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car. And that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
People living with Parkinson's disease are unshakable, and every year we celebrate them. On Saturday, September 7th, join Parkinson Association of Alberta at Rundle Park for our 12th annual Step and Stride Walk for Parkinson's. Visit parkinsonassociation.ca and support those affected by Parkinson's disease and Parkinson Plus syndromes. Come together with family and friends and raise much-needed funds. Your donation provides support, education, and programs that improve quality of life. Learn more, register a team, and donate today at parkinsonassociation.ca.
A big thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you missed anything, go check out our podcast section. Yaremchuk, Dalton Wasserman talking pro football focus. Well, we talked about that because that's where he works with, but also talking the NFL. We also talked to Sal Capaccio, did some Ryan Kennedy for the hockey report. Of course, just a lot of that kind of stuff. Lots of hockey talk. Go check it out on the podcast section. You know where to find it. Apple, Google, Spotify, or jasongregor.com. Show brought to you by playalberta.ca. Get your Lotto 649 ticket tonight or use code word summer. You get $50 free play when you deposit $5 at playalberta.ca. Wanye. We got some old Dutch mesquite barbecue chips.
Oh, unbelievable.
Elite chip. Old Dutch hooking up our good friends at CSCW with a few bags, and occasionally I just weasel my way and make sure we get some for the cruise. So
10,000 bags you told me we have.
I exaggerated.
That's a lot of chips.
But there's a lot of chips.
How long would it take you to eat 10,000 bags of mesquite barbecue chips, Connor? More than an hour.
I feel like the math is simple. 10,000. I could eat 10 bags a day with ease. So I could do it in like 1,000 days. But if we're trying to like push the bar, I don't know. It'd probably take me it would take me a long time.
Do you remember the old arena, how up at the clocks in the corner of Rexall Place, there was old Dutch ads by that?
Yeah.
As a little kid, I saw that ad once and I was like, that's all I need to see. And everywhere I went, I always tried to get old Dutch at the gas stations. They're elite.
Chips at sporting events aren't for me.
What about chip signs?
Chip signs all on board for. Yeah. Classic look. Old Dutch. When you used to get the box of old Dutch.
What do you mean?
Like the box with 2 bags inside of it. The cardboard box of Old Dutch potato chips.
2 bags.
Yeah, the silver bag inside.
Unbelievable.
You never got these?
No.
Oh.
I think I was more into the signs. I went to the Old Dutch office once. You know what they had in the lobby that you could just take and eat? Chips.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. And they're like, we don't really like them because we eat them all the time. And I was like, are you crazy?
Keep them coming. Jesse texted in and said, Annapurna is the most dangerous mountain range. Watch The Alpinist if you want to see our greatest Canadian climber ever, Marc-Andre Leclerc. I'm a mountaineer out here on Vancouver Island.
I believe everything that person said.
Rowdy Roddy says, hey, boys, who is this Montana to Rice guy? Well, I guess a San Fran fan. Well, anytime ever he wants to exchange knowledge, I'm here. Great handle. So, Montana to Rice. MTR, as he's known for some people. Rowdy Roddy's also a Niners fan.
Well,
misconnections. We'll let you guys meet if you ever really want to. We have a big one coming here from Gord. Those who have seen the real Ronaldo, R9, will always say he was probably the greatest soccer player. Skill, strength, and won 2 World Cups. With all due respect to Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, they don't hold a candle to R9 in his prime. Much like Bobby Orr, serious knee injuries shot down a great career in his prime. Why would I put Maradona ahead of Messi? Just look Maradona highlights on YouTube. He was unreal. Watching him warm up is a thrill. You will see him head and shoulders above Messi. It's not even close. Pele gets the nod over Messi because Pele was in first. He did things no player did in his era. He's still considered the king. I like the original Ronaldo. I also like
Brazilian Ronaldo, right?
Brazilian Roberto Carlos. Some of the free kicks he would take.
R9 was filthy.
Yeah.
One of the best pure strikers ever. Probably the best pure striker ever behind Pele. Kids today don't know about R9. I'm still taking Messi over all of them. Pele did a lot for his country. He was playing against plumbers in the Brazilian league. Maradona was obviously incredible. But yeah, R9, love an R9 show. Kids today don't know how good R9 was. And he did it with that god-awful haircut, which makes it even more impressive.
I was going to say, we can forget the haircut. The haircut sets him back a few points, but those Brazilian teams, would that have been like the late 90s, Declan?
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000s.
The young Ronaldinho would have been there.
I think R9 won his Ballon d'Or in 98. And then obviously won the World Cup in 02 with Brazil. Yeah, he was filthy.
Larry says Rusty Staub, Larry Bird, Joe Montana, and Guy the Fleur.
I saw some highlights the other day of Larry Bird. That's obviously before all of our times. That guy was a wild honey badger on the court. Like, that guy was beating people up. I saw him in this highlight reel score a basket from behind the hoop.
Larry Legend.
What the heck?
Wasn't it one of his, like, he trash talk? He's like, I'm only going to use my left hand for a game, and went out and put up, I don't know. For the story, I'll say a 40, but I don't know exactly what it was. But
damn,
one of the best trash talkers of all time. Looked like he worked at a gas station.
And just made it rain.
The hick from Westlick?
French Lick.
That's what it is.
Town in Indiana. That's where
Yeah.
it's from, yeah.
It makes sense. Great nickname.
Declan, how old are you and where were you born? How do you know?
47 next month. And I was actually born in Indianapolis. So this stuff comes pretty easy to me.
I'm Larry Bird's secret son.
Jeff says John Daly's taking all 4 of my spots on Rushmore. Aaron, you might have changed the game because this could be a whole other topic. Tin Cup, Ricky Bobby, Dean Youngblood, and Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Oh, he's just doing sports
movies. Yes, a little Sandlot action in there. I like that one. Declan, you might have to throw that one at us tomorrow.
What's that now? Sorry?
Top, like your Mount Rushmore, but fictional characters.
Oh, that's good. What was Wanya's he wanted to do?
Brothers of athletes that were also athletes.
No, get out of here. Connor, yours is way better.
Stephen Rivers, the younger brother of Philip Rivers.
The best.
Played at LSU. Never quite made it. You know what? We made it through another show.
Yep. Well said.
We did it, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. We really do appreciate it. Check the podcast. Give it a listen. Give it a download. Set up the auto download for sure. I mean, we're in the top 100 all the time on Apple, so it means something.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
When it comes to sports, of course. So, yeah, all those people can't be wrong. Go give us a subscription. We would really appreciate that. And we'll come back and do it all again tomorrow. Coming up next, we got another edition of Turn Sports. And then following that, it will be Fox Sports Radio all night. Carius Douglas back tomorrow morning with Laddie Schmid. Right now, let's do a Sports 1440 before we hand things over with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Rhoda Exclusive, an exclusive membership with luxury assets such as magnificent holiday properties, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, boats, and more. travel, drive, and relax in style. Join now at rodaexclusive.com. Limited openings. Have a great night, everyone.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the MLB. 3 finals from earlier today was the Royals over the Twins 4-1. Diamondbacks up big on the Rockies as they won that one 11-4, and it was the Padres over the Pirates 8-2. Games in action right now sees the Red Sox leading the Rangers 4-2 in the top of the 7th. Orioles up 2-1 on the Nats in the top of the 6th. Guardians up 4-1 on the Cubs in the top of the 6th as well. Bottom of the 4th sees the Marlins leading the Phillies 5-2. Mariners up 1-0 on the Tigers in the middle of the 5th. Cardinals trailing the Reds 4-0 in the top of the 5th. And 2 other games in action. Bottom of the 5th for the Astros and Rays. Astros lead that one 1-0. And the Mets blanking the Athletics currently in the top of the 4th. That one is 2-0. Blue Jays going to be in action in a while here as they take on the LA Angels out in LA. 7:38 p.m. First pitch for that one. Jose Barrios on the mound for the Jays. News in the CFL, in case you missed it, as the BC Lions have released American quarterbacks Jake Dolegala and Vernon Armstrong from their roster amid signing Nathan Rourke. And in the NFL, the New England Patriots have dealt Pro Bowl linebacker Matthew Judon to the Falcons for a 3rd-round pick. J.J. McCarthy will miss this season following surgery on his torn meniscus. Jordan Addison leaving practice for the club today as well with an injury. Other news in the NFL is the Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford did leave practice today, and Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions expects Jahmyr Gibbs to be good to go for the season opener. That's going to do it for us here today on the Jason Gregor Show. Turn Sports is up next. Fox Sports Radio at 9. Kevin Karras and Brandon Douglas back tomorrow at 7. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440.